Wallop! We're in. We're back.
Pressure.
We're really excited to be watching Terminator 3, aren't we, Duncan? It's our best favourite.
I'm not leaving this up to Patreon anymore. Me and you, Patreon, are going to fall out big time. No, it's my fault this entirely. It was my smug way of putting poo somehow into the...
So I signed off on it. It's fine. It's fine. I signed off on it. I knew it was possible. There's something, actually, that's what I meant to say just before we started. I have changed something quite fundamental in that now we are truly live. I believe I've eliminated that YouTube delay, which was just a thing I could turn off, and I've only just found that out. So we are truly live now, which is good because we can be more reactive to using the chat, you see. So yeah, it's something that I changed. I've changed a few things in the back end of the stream, which does sound rude, but I've changed a few things in the back end of the stream to make it a bit more kind of a bit shinier, I think is what I'm trying to say. I'm going to say I've made it a bit shinier. Also, Dan Lyles has recorded a video about how he creates that poster art for us, because often on the stream he'll knock together a little poster, and this week's artwork, I'll point in the right direction for once. This artwork here was of course done for us by Dan, and Dan's got a video coming about how he created the Tango and Cash poster last week, which he recorded and narrated himself, which will be coming very soon. So thank you.
Barrel.
Barrel. What say you?
I say let's have a look at PayPal, shall we?
Go.
We have. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it nor how to announce it, but Rafael Hengelbrock, I don't know how to say it.
Rafael
Sent us 9.
Hengelbrock?
I don't know. It's not spelled like that. It's Lewandko with a Dubry apostrophe and W.
Thank you.
Yep,
Thank you very much.
those are indeed letters. And he sent us 19 pence and no thing.
He sent 19 pence.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. We'll take it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Wow.
Sam Duxbury or Dubry, I believe we covered this last.
Can
last
confirm
week.
Duxbury. Can confirm
Yes.
Duxbury.
But I like Dubry.
It's quite good, yeah.
Hello, Val Verdeans. Just to say, can't stay for the shenanigans tonight. Got shit to do. Wink. I'm not sure what the wink is about. I'll catch it on the weekend. Until
Sex with a lady.
Full sex with a lady.
Full sex with a lady.
Sent £5, and my dad, Philip Casey, the senior, sent us £10, 10 pence, and said good luck tonight. So thank you, Dad. Thank you very much. Dad saved my bacon this weekend. My garage door. The garage door we have has basically been the bane of my existence since we moved into this house. It's a long story, which I won't bore you with. Suffice it to say that Dad and I rebuilt the whole thing. Like, literally took all the wood off the frame and rebuilt it all. Great personal, like lots of scraped knuckles and swearing and all sorts of things like that. Anyway, and then it's like all the cables are letting go and it's freaking, it just won't open properly and it threatens to fall on me. It fell on me and Brad once.
Jesus Christ.
I had to stand there like freaking Atlas holding it, and he had to like feel it out. And this is a big heavy wooden door. Anyway,
right.
Its latest freaking prank that it wants to play on me was that it just wouldn't open despite being unlocked. I was making 2 trips to the tip, and I filled up my car, got to the tip, got back, went to get the second lot, and the door just would not open. So long story short, he had to come around with his hole saw, and we just drilled a giant hole in the door so I could put my hand in and like yank on the cable and figure out what was going on. So yes, so that's my long-winded way of saying my dad saved my bacon. It also helped me fix leaky toilets. So
good. I did see. Well, Philip Casey needs somewhere for his granddaughter to poo and to park her car. And he's ensured the future of,
Despite having 3 toilets in this house, we realised the other day that 60% of the beings who live here shit in a bag.
Wait, you have 3 toilets?
Yeah.
I only know of 2. Duncan's house. Let's talk about Duncan's house. It's on brand, isn't it? Let's be perfectly honest. It's absolutely on brand for us. So I can tell you,
exactly. We have obviously the one downstairs, the master bathroom, and the ensuite.
Yeah.
So that's
2. Well, downstairs, upstairs, and the ensuite. Oh God, yeah, of course. Yeah. Jesus, that's insane.
It's a 3-bedroom house, so it stands.
Do you do them? I would do circles. We've got 2 here, and I don't tend to mix them up. But I suppose perhaps I should. Maybe I should alternate. It's not very good to poo downstairs because Ivan works downstairs in the pandemic. So I just walk in with the newspaper under my arm, have a dump next to where he works, and walk out.
Just maintaining eye contact all the way across the room.
I've got like a periscope I put around the door just so I can watch him whilst I deliver chod. I can just Anyway, Terminator 3.
£10 as well. Sorry.
Thank you, Andrew K. We have got Terminator 3 is on Now TV in the UK. I'm not sure else we can watch it. I'm not sure why you would want to watch it, but you can.
It's widely available on repeat.
Or various things. Did you hear? I'm going to go in and assume this is a no. But did you hear the GoldenEye news this week? The GoldenEye as in the computer game news. Big news.
No.
Yeah, big news. So basically, you remember Perfect Dark, the follow-up to GoldenEye by Rare?
Indeed.
Right, I figured you would have done. So that had a really nice remaster on Xbox Live about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It turns out that Rare, and there's been talk of this for years, Rare completed a remaster of GoldenEye in 2007 for the Xbox. And it was stopped from being released at the very last final hurdle. And someone's leaked it this week. It's all over the internet. So it's and they've been running it in 4K at 60 frames a second and it's this beautiful, gorgeous reskin of GoldenEye that's been kept from us for 14 years.
That's all a rights thing, isn't it? I believe it came down to something like who was it? EA or someone, because whoever bought the rights after Rare had them, because Rare got bought by EA or
Rare got bought by Microsoft, so that created tension with Nintendo, and then the Bond rights went to EA for a bit, as you say.
Right.
Basically, there are fingers in pies. So lots of people blamed it on Nintendo, but it turns out actually wasn't Nintendo's fault. I mean, they probably weren't. I don't imagine they were particularly helpful, but there's like 3.5 parties involved, including Eon, and it's all a bit. And it's this thing we've been robbed of because it's a beloved game, but for whatever reason we're
easily tops the sort of Bond game top 10 whatever.
Yeah, and there are some good ones as well. I mean, there are some very, very bad ones, but there's some good ones in the Bond games. There's a IO Interactive who make the Hitman games are doing a Bond game.
Yes, I did know about that. Yeah.
So that's quite exciting. It seems, I guess Eon have like insane stipulations about what can and cannot happen in a Bond game, which has hamstrung a few people in recent years, which is why we haven't seen any for a while. I quite liked the Quantum of Solace game by Triptych.
Wasn't it essentially Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace in one game, but it was just released with Quantum of Solace or something?
I remember in it that James Bond shoots the mad bad boys with his gun.
Right.
So if you can confirm.
Right.
Can confirm if that's useful to you. I imagine it's not. But if that's useful to you, can confirm.
It's deliberately obtuse.
But... I wouldn't say it's it's deliberately obtuse, but probably to less of a degree than you think, because I didn't care about the story and I was just there for the shooting. It had that thing that Rainbow Six Vegas had, where you hug a wall and it goes to third person, then you can peek around and.
Oh, nice! Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, because I think with a lot of them, like I know GoldenEye was the exception, and I think stuff like Everything or Nothing was a really great game as well, which was an original story, and but it had the likeness and the voice stylings of Pierce and
Shannon Elizabeth. Was she the Bond?
Shannon Elizabeth, yeah, because someone said that and it basically links, all the girls that Chris Marshall hooks up with in Love Actually.
Right.
Basically,
okay.
They were all Bond girls or something. Like it's one of those weird, like, because it's Shannon Elizabeth, Denise Richards, and who's the other one? The girl who plays the Chief's girlfriend in Casino Royale. Anyway, I diverge. I don't know.
Digress.
Thank you. Fucking hell, it's been a long day. So Everything or Nothing was really good, and Willem Dafoe was the bad guy, which is just always good, and it had Jaws in it because why not? Because you could just put Jaws in anything because he's mute essentially, so you just need the likeness of Richard Kiel and jobs are good. But yeah, that was a really good one. But there's and I think Nightfire was quite good, or Agent Underfire. That was bad. That one,
That's
I think.
the bad one. Okay.
I can't remember. I ran out after Everything or Nothing. I think was the last one I kind of paid any attention to, and then I was done.
It's been a bit quiet on that front for a while until this IO Interactive one, which is. I was always very interested by the. Is it From Russia with Love, where they had Connery doing the voice and stuff? That looked kind of fun. People seem to like that.
I mean, I can't imagine that was because they got some other original cast back as well. I think.
Right. Okay.
But it's like that's got to be like. 30-something Connery skin with the voice of a geriatric cantankerous old.
It's like the remember the Alien Isolation DLC we played on that stream, and it's most of the cast because Yaphet Kotto and Sigourney are in the main game, but like Veronica Cartwright's in it, and it's like they're all 30, but they've got old people's voices.
Yeah, like Veronica Cartwright had the voice of a fucking 70-year-old chain smoker anyway. So then you've got to imagine that like now she's like.
You're now on the Disney Plus train. Are you aware of what's gone on in The Mandalorian before I go any further?
No. So Richard very kindly shared me his logins, but you did. When was it on? Like Saturday or Sunday last? So I literally my time to watch what I want on my TV shows is if I stay up late on a Friday night and a Saturday night. So I will be watching The Mandalorian season 2 this weekend.
Very good.
But yeah, sorry, I haven't.
No, cool. Just there was a voice-related thing, but I don't want to spoil people that turn up and things, so I shall leave it. I shall leave it altogether.
Veronica Cartwright.
Veronica Cartwright turns up as her character from Alien. It's really confusing,
really bizarre.
And she looks at the straight she looks straight at the camera and says, "Don't worry, I survived. Also, this is the same universe as Alien." And then she kicks a Mandalorian into a fridge, and he goes, "Not fridges. I'm allergic to cold."
But then a nuke goes off, and he survives. And then somehow Indiana Jones turns up. So
and she says, "Take off and nuke the site from orbit," but they get confused and nuke a website, and then there's no internet in the Star Wars universe. And spoilers for season 2 of The Mandalorian.
Technically, Tarzan exists in the Star Wars universe because Chewbacca done a Tarzan yell. When he swings across the thing, so it's like, well, is Chewie referencing Tarzan?
Oh God!
That's how shallow your Space Wizard films are.
No, what are you talking about? They're brilliant. How dare you?
I'm just joking.
How dare you?
I love them. They were a significant part of my youth, and certainly the Mandalorian. But this is what I love about the Mandalorian, and I think Rogue One to a degree. They're the things that have really captured what I think Star Wars is. I'm by no means an expert, but.
Hey, look, I'm excited for you to watch Mandalorian Series 2 and also for you to get onto WandaVision as well.
Yes.
Mandalorian. The great thing about I'm kind of jealous of you in the respect that I couldn't really binge Mandalorian Series 2 because it was coming out week by week. And I wish I could have just smashed through it because it's loads of fun. It's a sort of live action cartoon and it's not busying itself with, over complicated in universe politics and stuff. It's about kind of old Western gunslinger, instead of it's an old thing to bring up, but discussions about trade routes and stuff, which we perhaps feel was a bit too much in the prequels, and then the new ones were, well, fuck knows what was going on in the new ones. Actually, I don't think anybody really knows what that was about. But I loved the first season, so I'm sure I'll like the second one. I hear it's very good. So. Yeah, I had loads of fun with it, and WandaVision's been great, very mysterious and very cool, and I'm digging it. We are 124 people. Welcome very much. If you just joined, the film will commence. We will commence the film at about 7:30, so that's 16 minutes if you're not in our time zone. The minutes do correspond to every time zone, so 1/2 hour.
Unless you're in India, because they're 5.5 hours ahead of us, so it'll be on there.
Fucking hell, India. That's definitely India's fault and not me for being ignorant. It's
something like that. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll draw attention briefly to Dan Lyle's lovely artwork for this week, which he just again dropped unsolicited. In which I am cast as Cristiano Loken.
Yeah, that's what I like most about it. I got the cool one.
Well, obviously, because you've got hair and a jaw. I'm the one, I get to be the fucking woman. And people have been talking in the chat, because I scheduled this, so there was chat going on from before, I press go. And people asking whether or not I'm going to inflate my tits. All the usual
standard.
Yeah, Terminator 3 discussions. So there you go. So this is what was voted for on Patreon, so $5 tier and up. You can go
$3 tier and up. I think.
$3 tier and up. Sorry, pardon me. The private watch party is a $5 tier up. $3 tier and up.
That's right.
And a few of you have just joined us on Patreon. We're up to 120 now. So we've gained about 6 or 7 in the last week, which is fantastic. So thank you very much for your support. We do love that. And those of you who throw money into the PayPal and just being here, of course, and just watching our stuff is really, really helpful and does wonderful things for us, which is just trying to couch, the horrible film we're going to watch together. Don't expect much analysis. Duncan and I have agreed already that we're just going to slag it off because we hate it.
Cool. Dan Lyles just said in the chat, he said Duncan had a matching chin and surprisingly similar nose. That's interesting to know.
Well, I think Cristiano Loken's hair scraped back replicates the line of a bald man, doesn't it? So that kind of works quite well.
So in silhouette, she could be mistaken for a bald man.
Is that Richard Jackson? Who's Richard Jackson?
No, it's called his body.
Is that a testicle? As the TX in Terminator 3? No, it's Cristiano Loken.
I hate this film so much, and I don't know why. This is the sort of, I suppose it's ironic that Schwarzenegger was about to go become a governor, but it's the sort of politician of the Terminator series in that it seems to get away with being the one that ruined it. passes the buck on. Everyone else is like, well, T3 was alright because I had a car chase or whatever. And it's like, well, they all have car chase. What the fuck? Like, it's weird.
This film is very, very not all right. Like, it's very, and the thing is, it's quite fun. It's not. Firstly, it's not supposed to be fun. I'm not saying, of course, it's because they're sort of like, you're not supposed to enjoy it. Of course, you're supposed to enjoy it, but it's like, it's good, good fun, silly time. It's like, it's a Terminator film. Did you watch the other ones? Like, the second one had some jokes in it, sure, but like this film, the Terminator might as well cup a fart in his hand and put it in John Connor's face, and then Claire Danes pulls out a Swanee whistle and goes, woo.
I mean, there's that bit where he's grabbing his face and everything. I mean, it's just ill-conceived. I think I said this when we talked about this before, but it really strikes me as though gestating for essentially 12 years, although it wasn't, it's like, it strikes me as something hurriedly put together, given how long there was between. Because we know why that is, because obviously the rights were changing hands left, right, and centre. It wasn't clear. I think it was on the blocks for a long time, and then eventually was given a green light, and it was like, right, we've got to get this done immediately. We've got Schwarzenegger, but that's not going to last, and blah blah blah. And it just feels like a really hurried together thing. Like, John Connor doesn't feel like John Connor at all. Like, it's really he's totally like it's such a mischaracterization of that, and we'll get to it, I guess. But he just spends the whole thing bitching and whining and looking like a oddly simian-like, as we discussed before.
Yes, I'm glad I brought that up like last week, actually, because that is. The thing is with this, like, they needed a script, and they didn't really care what that was, as long as they had Anne's script. No one gave a shit. It's like, oh yeah, well, all right, sweet, Terminator 3, I guess. And everybody just turns up and stands in the right place and says the words they're supposed to say. It's like, no one seems to really give a shit for the characters or the continuity, or just sort of like, look, people need. I think they kind of learned the wrong lessons from Terminator 2 in that, and this is completely Cameron's fault. Terminator 2 was a film that was, it wasn't just a film, it was an experience, but it was at the centre of a lot of marketing, and it was designed to sell things, and it just happened to have a good film in the middle. This did all of that without the good film in the middle, so it had the video games and the toys, and they tried to repeat all that marketing stuff from T2, but they just didn't have a good film to go with it, and they just kind of thought, well, if we make anything and make it expensive, that'll crack it, that'll do. 138 people in, oi oi, hello, willkommen. So yeah, I mean, it's got such a kind of television quality to it, as we've talked about. We have done a commentary on this before. Yes, it's the second time we talk about this film, but we'll talk about it live, so you can interact and be part of it, etc., etc. Because this is the channel that only talks about Terminator. Except for when we talked about Tetsuo Iron and did a season on Nuclear Panic and Italian horror films. What? Sorry, no, I'm spiraling. I'm partridging. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that again. I won't be referencing that again.
What have you got on your T-shirt?
This is a picture of Super Hands from Peep Show saying, tell you what, that crack is really Moorish. Present from my friend. It was an unexpected Christmas present from my friend Marta last year. It's quite nice. Because that was it. We went to a David Mitchell book signing in Ely Cathedral, and it was near my birthday, and bless her, she turned up with a bag and had a Super Hands t-shirt in it for me. So that's kind of nice. Because we bond over Peep Show, me and her, so that's our whole thing. So, Ian McGar says, Ian, it's good to see you, Ian, by the way. I feel like we haven't heard from you in a while. It's good. I hope you're doing well. Have you seen the alternate cut T3 The Coming Storm? No, I'm assuming that probably has some of the silly stuff. People like to do those fan cuts, don't they, where they cut the sillier stuff out, the less. I had Chinese for dinner and I'm burping into the mic. The kind of people like to alter the tone of things through cuts. So no, Ian, I've not. Do tell us. This doesn't have, of course, the notorious Sergeant Candy scene in it, because that's look at that alone, and it's so because there's loads of deleted shit in this that completely breaks the continuity. Like they've got T800 and stuff just knocking about their lab, and it's like no. Like they're supposed to be a prototype, and all they do is go like, I'm going to change the timeline. Get the fuck out of here.
I hate all that shit. Yeah, it's like, why is it they've got the T1 because you see one is the first thing, and it's like, yeah, but. Why would people wouldn't make that? They were the machines. What? Like what?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
The Terminators were just staying on brand, were they? Like what was
the people? From what we can gather, the people made like pilot. The Skynet was controlling like essentially drone warfare. And Terminator 3 has it that the humans made kind of skull-faced robots, which I don't hate in principle, and that's a good design by Stan Winston's mob. I quite like that minigun arm drone tank. It's kind of cool. I mean, I
hate it. It's just awful. I don't know why you would like that. It looks. I'm just saying, as a design. Leaden suet pudding with a stupid bug face.
It's a brushed steel suet pudding. I'd never thought I would hear it called a suet pudding.
It's Johnny Five with like botulism or something. It just looks awful.
Johnny Five with botulism. It is kind of like an evil Johnny Five, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mike Boyle, just join a Patreon now. I have money. Just join a Patreon now. I have money. £5 super chat. Thank you, Michael. Never stop doing this, please, because you provide entertainment for so many people. Well, thank you, Michael. We'll continue to. Michael, I annoyingly for you, Michael, I saw you join Patreon, and I did the credits for February this morning, and I got your notification this afternoon. I'm so sorry, but I'll try and get you added before the end of the month so you can pop up there. Because you were never to know when I was going to make the credits, and I just happened to do it at a time not conducive to you being in them. So I'll try and get you on for next week, mate. So thank you. Thanks. We are kind and benevolent, or something. I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, Duncan hates the T1. I'm not. I don't care enough to go into bat for it. So hey, I don't hate that, and you're like, oh, I do, and I'm like, no, that's fine.
It's just it makes zero sense. It's a shit. Like, it's wobbly and crap. For some reason, you can rip its arm off and use it, which doesn't make any sense. I don't like as well, like the fact that there's a lot of sort of what feels like the vestige of the kind of 80s, 90s total miscomprehension of what computers are. Going on in this, so it's like, like Gus Gorman can just be a good computerist in Superman 3, and in this it's like, well, nanobots, there you go, that's us sorted. And it's like, that doesn't mean you can control cars just by sticking your lady bits in it.
I mean, it was a brave choice for her to put her labia in the car radio, recalling some of the body horror elements of Terminator.
Yeah, I remember being so disappointed when I sat and watched this in the cinema, and I was like, the character choices being made by the Terminator characters in it were just so nonsensical, and I was just like, you're not taking this seriously. No one's taking this seriously anymore. It's things like she tests blood with her tongue, but her tongue's made of liquid metal too.
But then she does an orgasm noise.
Yeah,
it's like, why she shouldn't be this doesn't seem to get that Terminators aren't people, which is really that's pretty high up there of the fundamental things to understand, because you got the T800 T850, because it's 50 more talking about destiny and shit, and it's like, oh my god. I got a good question for you from Steve Allen in the chat, which I'm quite interested in the answer to myself. Duncan, mad question, how do you play a Terminator? Would you be pure evil or just attached, or what?
Well, it's not evil, is it? It's ambivalent. It's utter ambivalence. There's no. Well,
that's it. Because this is the thing. I was thinking about this earlier. Actually, I think some actors do interpret that as evil, and it's not. It's a utility. It's a tool.
The evil that can be interpreted from it is for the audience to do, not you.
Yeah.
This is what I never get. A lot of actors act, but by that I mean they act everything you're supposed to think, because I guess it's some sort of weird control thing where they're like, this is how I want the audience to feel right now. It's like, you don't do that. You feel, and if you're a Terminator, you don't feel. You just literally act it out as plainly as you can. I mean, Schwarzenegger seemed to get that in the first two. I mean, when he was talking, all the way they talk about how he came to the role and how he'd read the script, and the studio wanted him to play Reese, and he was like, the Terminator, I get it now, it makes much more sense, blah 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 blah, it's a machine, and they would walk around, and it's like, you got it, but you threw all that out the fucking window when it came to Terminator 3, and it's like, Dr. the Hand, and it's like, you what? No, and then I just.
Well, he's only ever as good as who's directing him, I think.
Which is sad, because so he seems to get this, but then he seems to throw it all away. All subsequent films after this as well, he's just totally not.
Well, Robert Patrick he injected his Terminator is more human because it's part of it. It's part of how that one operates, being kind of fluid and soft. He operates as a human because it's part of the ruse, and he shows false sympathy and stuff, and to Sarah, it's like, I know this hurts. He's like, it's kind of sympathetic but not really, and he kind of smiles more and stuff like that because he's supposed to be, he's 200 more than a T-800.
Well, but he's also, I mean, but he's not. He only plays those human parts when it's part of the ruse.
When he's not observed, he's completely. I did think Gabriel Luna did that well. I think Gabriel Luna channeled the kind of Patrick of it all in Terminator, whatever the last one was called, Dark Fate.
Deep Fake.
Deep Fake. And I thought that was Schwarzenegger's best Terminator performance for a while as well, I think. But it just seemed to be in service of silly jokes about making curtains and things.
Well, that's the problem, is it's all undermined by that. And also it's still laden with sentimentality, which it shouldn't be. I mean, we're so far away from what that character's supposed to be.
So a couple of things. We're going to start in 2 minutes. I just want to address Z Klingensmith in the chat, because Z is a OG Valverdian. Hi Z, good to see you. And I know Z's an artist as well. She did some. I really liked the guy's Pitch Please Genesis Terminator story. Do you remember our alternative Terminator Genesis Pitch Please episode where John Connor?
I don't remember the details, but I do. Oh yeah.
John Connor's like Skynet. You had really good ideas about it being like a fucking head in a jar of pipes up its nose and stuff. Which I've just realised I sort of stole for the thing we're going to make. Did a bit of fan art to that, Z. If you still have that fan art, we'd love to see it. If you could tweet it to us or something, that would be really good. Dan Lyles is ahead of the game by giving us the poster in advance this week, which is quite good. So it's there for the whole stream to see. So film in 2 minutes if you have a copy of Terminator 3 that you'd like to play. I think Terminator. What's the fucking Christian Bale one? I think Salvation is the least offensive. Of the sequels. Yeah,
I mean, we've just talked about it. It is at least doing. It's not just a carbon copy of Terminator 2, basically. Well, not a carbon copy. A complete misunderstanding. Of that film. So at least it's trying to do something else, which I think
does it badly, but it's doing.
It's not even that. It's not even that it does it badly. It's the fact that it's just not what we wanted. It's like, what is this? This is Mad Max with sort of robots, but they're not proper. There's nothing really Terminator about it.
And then Genesis does all the purple laser shit, but again, in service of the wrong thing. So, fine. So, if you get your copy ready, we're going to go in soon. 145 people in. Good evening. Welcome. Welcome to the stream.
Annalise Mosklin sent us £5 on PayPal. Just say, hey guys, bit late tonight, finishing West Wing season 1. First watch, so no spoiler. But we can have spoilers. Duncan, can you tell Richard that Michael is still smug about the Enterprise trolling? Thank you.
That was a gaming stream thing. Michael caused Ivan and I to repeatedly sing the notorious theme tune to Star Trek Enterprise to Annalise on the Alien stream on Saturday night, and we kept doing it over and over and over again. And it was, you definitely had to be there, but we also kind of thought that Annalise might leave the country or something if we kept doing it, so we stopped. so there you go. I've still failed to finish Alien Salvation, Alien Isolation. The streams have been going on for approximately 9 or 10 hours and I'm still not finished. It's been fun to buy. Oh, did you want to read out Vote Saxon's super chat? Super chat for Vote Saxon.
Right. Zero understanding of what... I won't do it in his voice. Zero understanding of what the Terminator is. I can hear an executive saying, a lady one with metal juice over a robo-skeleton. Sounds cool, bro.
A lady one with metal juice. See, and that is why... That's why Steve's our kind of satellite Valverdian. He gets it. That's why he gets it. Right, shit, we're over schedule. So did you want to count us in for Terminator Tree?
Sure. Here we go then. This is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Do it.
Do it. It's your destiny or whatever.
I don't know, whatever. Hey guys, the party.
Well, I remember in the trailer where he walked out and said it is time, I was immediately like, wrong, that's wrong. That's absolutely wrong. That's not how that character is. Like, what is this? and wanking off about Destiny and stuff. Just fucking. Scar85 just gave £2 and says, "Is Dark Fate the worst of the franchise?" No, I think this is, or Genesis.
Yeah, this is, because the thing is, Genesis is awful, but you can't, like, that's like, when you blame the kid for wiping his poo on the wall because his mate done it.
Right.
Like, it's kind of like, well, you weren't the first to blink, were you? Like, let's be honest. This is just cynical. It's just so cynical. And what's really sad? That this is freaking 18 years old. And it's like, I remember back in the night, like, the gap between this and Terminator 2 felt like forever. I remember being like, oh, if only they'd make a Terminator 3. There was obviously, like, not really much of an internet to speak of, and you couldn't really talk about it online. So there was no real notion of what was going on with it. And then when it was kind of announced that it was happening, it was like, oh my God, Terminator 3, but like, now when you think of, like, that's 5 years more than we had to wait for this to come out from Terminator 2. And we've had, what, 4 films, and they're all god awful. Like, now we're just like, I'll put.
Well, there's no stewardship, and then it's like, oh, well, it's back to James Cameron sort of, and it's like, okay, well, that motherfucker's just been making Fern Gully in space for 20 years and submarine films, so I don't really trust that to be good, and it wasn't.
Stream's freezing.
I'm quite warm. Okay, that's annoying.
Yeah,
it's kind of janking out.
Weird.
Well, our audio is going. There's a very unfortunate freeze frame of me there. Okay, no worries. All right, let's just see if it settles in. Hopefully it will settle in.
Okay,
but let's crack on, shall we?
Let's do that. So yeah, bang, bang.
Bang.
Yeah, I think we spoke about this before, but this is such a televisual looking film, isn't it? It's like everything is sort of center frame. There's very little camera movement.
Yeah, and it's that even having the sort of TV style credits, the things like fading up over the text fading up over the screen, just looks like a TV show or a TV movie.
It's like season 3 of Terminator, not.
Yeah.
Look at him. Look at him. He's like, yeah.
And just like, they didn't even try and make him look like the one from the last one. He's got his kind of crazy pointy cameo Larry Blackmon jacket on and stuff. Like, I don't.
Yeah, he was a monkey in
a monkey in a licorice Dorito is what that is. Omar Zambon gave £5. Cheers, Omar. Richard Duncan, my dad had his first dose of vaccine today. Excellent. My folks have had their first goes as well. Thank fuck.
Dad had his on Sunday, which is good.
I think, could we not make a kind of belt-fed syringe rifle? I mean, Matt Hancock says he bought more doses than anybody else. So can we not have sort of vehicles riding around the streets just darting people as they walk around? That's...
I don't see why not.
Right? I mean, I think it makes perfect sense. I think it's, if anything, the logical solution. But people just don't want to hear that,
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's their problem, not mine.
Another super chat from Sean Northridge. He sent us €5, and he says, much needed rest after finishing the latest draft of the comic. 20 new and redone pages in 3 weeks. Time to potato. Have fun.
Potato. I don't know what that is. Is that rhyming slang?
I don't know.
Potato croquette. Place a bet. Don't gamble. It's bad.
But if you do gamble, do please rubber up.
We just can't help ourselves.
Yeah, look, so here's a recreation, right? Of because we have to have this at the start of every Terminator film of, like, marauding T-850 skeletons, but it's just so sort of flat. And that one, and there you go. There's your evil look from a Terminator. It's like, why is he having dreams about a thing he never experienced?
Yes, and because again, why is the Terminator stopping and looking? And I think if you look as well, there are repeated animation cycles in it.
Oh, really?
And yeah, it just does not look good. Like, there's no version of it that looks good. It's just sort of plasticky and cheap. I mean, and this is also one of the most 2003 films. I'm surprised this film doesn't have, like, not only Limp Bizkit, but Fred Durst as the Terminator, and then maybe a cameo by Tony Hawk. I don't know, to make it as Avril Lavigne as Sarah Connor. Like, I don't know. But, yeah, it's
with soundtrack by Macy Gray.
Oh, like the Spider-Man fucking movies, yeah.
Yeah,
Philip Macy Gray.
When asked for comment, Macy had this to say.
I can't believe Macy Gray came to our stream. That's incredible.
Lingual analysts are working on what they believe to be a recipe for gumbo or something.
Yep.
For lentil soup.
Off the rails already. Completely off the rails. But again, I don't care about this film enough.
But fine to join. So obviously we've spoken about this before, but I suppose repeating. Firstly, her hair looks like it would be remarkably hard to do in metal. But whatever.
I don't know why it's not in a bun when she turns up, because because that would look stupid. She's got this. She turns up with this kind of wet poodle look. It's just like, okay, I'm covered in time slime.
I mean, it's just like, what does this add to anything? It's just like, oh, she's a robot underneath.
Well, this is it. It really did. And the thing is, this is what the fucking what was it bloody called? I don't know, Rev 9 in Terminator Dark Fate. It is the same thing, except you can make its metal goop come off. It's the exact same thing. Except the skeleton can walk around on its own.
And like, why can't hers do that? I mean, by all accounts, her liquid metal is sort of sentient. It does sort of form things on its own and whatever. I never understood. I mean, they're only purely because they're replicating what they did with the T1000 that they've also replicated the problem I had with the T1000, which is that why is it turning up looking like a specific person but robbing the identity of someone else but not their literal identity? Surely the point of it is that it turns up and assumes the identity of a living person so that it can go around that person's life undetected.
You mean like some kind of infiltration?
Exactly. And especially when it's a cop, it's like, well, that's you've just hit the jackpot, T1000, because you've actually got a literal cop there. If you kill him and assume his look, like you do with everyone else in the film. Like,
no, mate, just stab him to death and then walk around in his clothes with his car. It's fine.
Does anyone I'm sure Officer Jeff took out, that car, and now Captain High Top has turned up with his fucking
Have you seen Jeff? Yeah. Has he had a new haircut? Yeah, absolutely. Also a new face, voice, demeanour, memory and personality. But absolutely.
Lipo.
Yeah. Oh, hello. Oliver Mercer gives £5. He says, "Hey guys, I'm currently writing an Origin Terminator warfare-based approach script that I've named Terminator Future Survival." There you go. Terminator fan script in the chat.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with that, man. It's a good exercise, I think. It's screenwriting, because screenwriting ain't easy. For sheezy, believe
I've
me.
always argued. I mean, I've always argued the Future War is really a MacGuffin. It's like this was always my problem with Salvation. It's like it's the film we all thought we wanted, but in reality, what can you say? Like, it's just procedural at that point. It's like the point of these films is to avoid that. That's all you need. Otherwise, it's just, well, all right, it's warfare and trench warfare against me. We kind of see all we need to see about it. I don't know that there's many stories you can really tell, but good luck, because I would love to be shown up.
Oh, hey, it was always good to be wrong, right? Like, I've had very little to enjoy about Star Wars, and then Mandalorian came and slapped its Beskar-clad cock in my face. Duncan, could you just give a quick timestamp to the boys and girls?
Certainly. I am about to hit 9:40 in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 9:40 now.
The appropriately named, same. Appropriately named Kyle King is 1 year older than this film. So there you go. Oh yeah, the whole
Or if you were 20 years younger than me.
And me. Woohoo! Oh, it's your birthday fairly soon, isn't it? Fairly soon.
By end of March.
Yeah. We're in that ballpark.
It'll probably still be fucking lockdown.
Dude.
I mean, that'll be my second one in lockdown. Woohoo!
Ricky Spanish. Yep. Well, I think in the last, over the last 22 months, I had one birthday in hospital, one in lockdown. So good times. Who was that? Yeah, someone just brought up, this come up in Twitter earlier. So and I think he recounted this to me personally when we filmed with him, name drop. But Edward Furlong was John Connor in this on the proviso that he stay clean, and he got done for a drugs thing shortly before, so they recast him with Nick Stahl. You know, so like he's had lots of troubles with addiction and stuff. You know, he's had a bit of a rough time of it. And yeah, so he was John Connor, but then because this is the thing that always just let's throw money at the thing to make people watch the thing, because you know they can. I fucking love Linda Hamilton for just saying no, because they must have offered her a ton. They must have offered her a fucking ton of money, and the script was her and John. So this is the thing with this as well, like because they parachute in Claire Danes and say Sarah's dead, which really is a huge disservice to that character. And it's like, oh yeah, we'll recast John but not Sarah. But they say she's dead, but all they did was like turn her into his love interest and give her all of Sarah's shit to do. So like if this was John and Sarah, that is an insultingly similar film to the previous one. Like what? Like they end up in a bunker, but like other than that, they're with an Arnold on the run from a liquid metal Terminator. Oh, yeah. Okay. You cynical bags of fuck.
So lazy. I don't know what as well. This whole sort of redoing the time bubble to put freaking some grating around it for some reason. It's it's so over designed. I don't like it.
Well, it is, again, it's change for change's sake. There's no reason for it. And also that fucking bit of desert that he turns up in looks like so much like a fucking soundstage. It's unreal. It's absolutely real. Benny Letter says, wasn't Nick Stahl off his cake hole when he came? Wasn't Nick Stahl off his cake hole when this came out though? I don't know that for sure, but he definitely has had his substance problems as well. He's someone else who's had.
Yeah, didn't he disappear for a while or something? He just sort of up and fucked off.
Yeah, I think he was off. I believe he's back in something now. I'm sure I saw a trailer. Right. I saw a trailer for a thing that has him and his simian features in it. But he's someone who had kind of
apes in space.
Why isn't he in the Planet of the Apes film? That's what we want to know.
Here to the gym. I just think I have nothing against the guy at all, and I think he's a fine actor. I just don't think he's right for this role, and I just think the character choices and everything are off for it. It's like he's completely I don't know, he's got his bollocks cut off. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, if 5 minutes thinking about what had come before is that, you know, he's a wise street kid, not more than a wise street kid. I mean, he grew up in like Mexico surrounded by guns and rattlesnakes. It's like that's who he is. And now if he's on the run and he's a sort of nomad. And again, it's what's so frustrating because we've spoken about this character. This is a sort of character thing to explore with John Connor in a third film. This idea of someone being robbed of his destiny and spending, you know, not knowing what to do with his life. He's literally a creation of a time that doesn't exist, and he must feel so isolated. And you know, and there's all sorts of interesting things to do with that. But they do none of it, you know, because it's all about just redoing the second film.
Yeah, well, our pitch was, you know, if someone's robbed of their destiny, because our pitch sort of was, okay, if John Connor has to be the bad guy, which is the thing because that was the corner they painted themselves into for Terminator Genesis. Our pitch was, well, why would he be that? Not he got bitten by a Terminator and turned into a Terminator. It's because, you know, he's resentful of being robbed of his destiny and he's a nobody in that timeline. And, you know, he seeks to create Skynet himself. So then at least he, you know, it's better to rule in hell than to serve in heaven, right? It's the whole backbone of the idea we had.
Right, yeah, of course. And it's the creepy guy it's the creepy prepper with the basement full of guns. It's like, was it in 24 that happens, isn't he? Like traps Kim Bauer in his
in the trick because the bomb's going to go off, whatever.
Yeah. We got a super chat, didn't we?
Please go for it.
Oh, okay. Colin McLean sent $10 dues and says, "Hi guys, missed my VVB duty of watching the last 3 watch parties because I fell asleep every time. Brackets because I work overnight and sleep during the day when you guys broadcast. Sorry about that. Hope this makes up for it, mate. You don't have to send us money. It's really nice to have you with us.
I used to work nights, my friend. I know your pain. To be the vampire person.
I'm a prissy little shit when it comes to like when I have to do night shoots and stuff. I'm terrible. I can't stand it. I'm a right little like I need my beauty sleep. I think.
Right.
I'm no good with no sleep.
As you know, I am a creature of the night.
The children of the night. Why would you leave an Audemars Piguet in your freaking in the person who owns and drives that truck does not have the money to buy a watch like that. It's like a 30 grand watch.
It's almost as if it's hastily thrown together crap, isn't it?
Almost, yeah.
I think 180 mil at the time, and it was the most expensive film ever. That's the other thing as well. It was the most expensive film ever at the time, right? And I know a big chunk of change went to Arnold because he pulled down some insane salary, supposedly on the advice of James Cameron. So a huge bite of that went to him. The rest of the cast, though, they're all they're not very big rolling stars. So I didn't go to them. Lots of VFX, lots of practical effects, but it's covered like a fucking TV show, and it just looks like a TV show, and like it's pretty insulting for the most expensive film ever made. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't really feel cinematic at all. Crazy effects and stuff, of course, and set pieces, because the fucking truck chase that everyone wanks off about, that is a lot of practical. You know, there's loads of set builds and stuff being smashed and whatever. So I get it, you know, but it's because they wanted to sell fucking naked Arnold plushies and star-shaped sunglasses and fucking John Connor nuclear war freeze pops and whatever.
It's that watch that he had is like, it's called the T3 because it's literally a model that they made for this film, because at the time Schwarzenegger was really well like connected with Audemars. I don't know if he had a deal with them. Well, he obviously did for this film, but like, you know, it was like, so they made an actual thing for them. But again, where do we put our product placement? In the visor of some hillbilly's fucking truck, because that's, you know, obviously that was the big thing from Terminator 2, was that he learned the keys are always in the top. So that's another thing that really pisses me off, is they're like, oh, he checks the visor. Why does he check the visor?
No, because that's what Skynet added with the extra 50. It's like, oh yeah, no, like, actually no, it's human psychology, so they put keys in like, fuck off. Fuck out of here.
It's such bullshit.
Jesus Christ.
Callback. Ugh.
The most insulting thing of all is John Connor going like, "Oh, Uncle Bob, don't you remember me?" And it's like, you know that's not how it works. Your entire life has been based upon that fact. Like, what the fuck?
Doesn't he say as well, because he goes like, "Don't you remember, like, hasta la vista, baby," or whatever? And it's like, I'm pretty sure. Doesn't he? I can't remember when he's teaching him in T2. Doesn't he just teach him hasta la vista? And then the point is he goes like, hasta la vista, baby, because he's putting together words, right? So only he in the T1000 heard that. John Connor shouldn't have heard that. But also, it doesn't make sense. You credit
doesn't matter,
because it's not.
It doesn't matter. Like, maybe watch a Terminator film. Don't know. Could be good. Might be good to do a bit of research. By which I mean, watch the preceding film in the series. Who knows? Might help you out.
Do 2 hours of research, you fuckers.
Oliver Mercer gave £10. Thanks for the nice words. I do have a little created slideshow clips around it on my YouTube channel under Oliver Mercer. It would be set before T1 and T2. It's annoying. Attachments don't work. Okay, yeah, so you can't attach. But go check out Oliver Mercer's channel, and I will do so after the stream. Thank you, Oliver, and thank you for the second super chat. It's very, very kind.
And I laud. It's you know, I didn't mean to damn your attempt with what I said. I just genuinely think it's a very hard thing to extrapolate on, where given the function of it in the first two films and I guess third, but
yeah, it's a good thought. I think it's good. It's a good way to learn screenwriting. It's a good thought experiment, you know. So I think creatively, it's probably very satisfying to do as a thing. So good luck to Oliver. All the best with that. I mean, I've got some weird. I won't pluck it off the shelf, so I don't know where it is. But I've got. Oh no, I can see it, but I'm not going to reach up and do that undignified thing where that shirt rises up and shows my back fat. I've got the collection of Dark Horse Terminator comics that were written before T2 came out. So it's a load of different comic writers. They're quite cool, but they're really weird. They're still better than this. They sort of capture the tone of at least the first film. I think a bit better because it's loads of kind of like street level LA stuff and whatever. But they're quite interesting takes, you know, as kind of, let's say, off-brand takes on the Terminator thing go, which is anything after Terminator 2 really now, but just lots and lots and lots of money involved.
I do remember a comic. I think it was set after Terminator 2, but it was the sort of basis for what. And it's the only piece of media that I've seen that got the one aspect of T2 that could have led to a third film, which was the fact that they go to great pains to say we have to melt the arm, the chip, Arnold, like any vestige of what a Terminator is, has to be destroyed. Otherwise, someone could find it and reverse engineer it. But they still leave Arnold's arm in the cog from where the T-1000 pushed him into it. So I was always like, well, great. I mean, again, surely Arnold should be like, wait a minute, there's my left arm.
There's one arm left.
About it. Just imagine, like, he's going down, like, thumbs up. It's like, hang on.
I imagine they walk back down there. There's a scene of no music of him like pulling on it, and John's going like, "No, wait, you have to no, don't pull it not that. No, you're going to have to stand back. It's not going to work. You have to turn the car. I can turn the car, but you have just really awkward. I would make that like a 5-minute dialogue scene, and then it just smash cuts to him halfway down the chain.
While he's doing it, he's like half melted. So he's like if you've ever like had to walk out into the landing with your trousers off, like from you know what I mean, like when you got your trousers and your pants off and you're naked on the bottom half. That's what he looks like.
Just sort of like sloping off for a piss in a sweater, hanging in the breeze. I read there's these books called T2 Infiltrator that I read the first one of, kind of like novels that were kind of Terminator 2 novels, not Terminator 1 novels, Duncan, Terminator 2 novels. And they were like, you could have used them for a backbone of a Terminator 3 thing if you wanted to. And there are Terminators, of course, running around in the present day, and one of them goes for an airport and sets off all the airport alarms, and they X-ray him and stuff. But he has I think he's got like a forged doctor's note. It's like, you've got to let me through because my mum says I'm made of metal. Gotta let me on the plane because my mum says I'm made of metal. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Also, he's not doing PE this week because he's got a cold. That was alright though. That book. That book had the thing where there was a guy that the Terminator was based on, and he's called Dieter von Rossbach, and they team up with him and stuff, which seems a bit unlikely, that happening. But that was kind of less offensive than the Candy thing because it was just I think it was like Skynet had a bunch of DNA samples and files from different kind of special forces people, and like he was the one that's used as a template. And it's a bit better than like we had a wacky guy with a funny voice.
Well, yeah, we gave him Jack Noseworthy's Arnold voice. It's like, what? Why are you going to the lengths to explain that? I mean, I know they cut it out, and obviously for good reason, but it's like, come on, like really?
And they must have spent quite a bit of money making that scene because it's full of extras and stuff. There's all shit moving around. There's a bit where he looks in the. It's quite a good comedy performance. If that was like Arnold's bit for an SNL sketch, that would be funny. But the fact it was made for an actual fucking Terminator movie is just this deeply insulting thing.
Yeah. Oh, here she goes with the orgasm. It's like, no, she's a woman. Don't you get it? There's always orgasming.
She can use radar by sucking her own nipple. That's
And it's
all this fucking.
It's just so. It's like, what is this? Like, what is the?
It's just cheesy, salacious crap, isn't it? Like it's all the time. So I think they literally overheard some kids on a playground saying the next Terminator is going to be a girl, and then wrote that on a cigarette packet and turned up with $180 million and made a film. Like it's my best version of that,
I'd say again, like because I think it's worth pointing out that none of this is Kristanna Loken's fault. Like I think she's genuinely
absolutely not
making as best a go of it as she possibly could, and being I gather she was a model, turning actress, and by all accounts human being. Like I've seen some stuff with her on panels and stuff talking about this film. That's my favourite shot, by the way, of the whole thing is Claire Danes when the explosion goes off and her hair that looks quite actiony and cool. Just that one shot, close up
4 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And Claire Danes is someone who's as well who I'm a big fan of, and I think obviously Homeland she did really well, but she's a fantastic actress, but this just ain't her bag, baby.
No, she was. I can't remember who was. So they'd already started filming with someone else, and then it was decided that she was too young for the role, so they let her go. So Claire Danes was kind of parachuted in. So both the leads really were sort of parachuted in, but Claire Danes they were actually underway when they were.
I know she was a real last minute addition, and she does a great job with that as well. Because when you think about it, it's like, because this can happen. You literally get cast and have 2 days to turn up. And it's like what?
Yeah. It's like, well, I hope the other woman's jacket fits you because you're doing this for 3 months now. Also,
Kim Basinger in Batman was like that, wasn't she? And
was it Sean Young?
Sean Young was originally,
Because Sean Young's crazy, yo.
She fell off a horse and dislocated her bum.
Dislocated her bum? It's true, doctors had to screw her bum back on to the bum bone.
Oh,
because
no,
the bum bone's threaded.
Bum fell off.
Oh, it really hurts. This is my normal voice. I'm Sean Young. Chat from Benny Legend. Do you want to read the Benny Legend?
Benny Legend. Benny Legend here. Hello, lads. I hope this can help towards your next pack of wine gums. What story would you guys have gone with, T3? Like I said before, I think there's an amalgamation. I mean, I gather all the comics and stuff that were the ones that sort of got things right. I'm assuming the rights to those stories lay elsewhere, and I'm giving these guys a break, really. In terms of
I do also, in these type of things, I think Hollywood don't like to admit that they've taken, so actually, like adapting a comic, I think they seem to do quite rarely.
Yeah.
So I think, as in a comic that's a sequel to a thing, not a comic. There are many of those. Thanks for your comment. But I think acknowledging that you're then basing it directly on, because there's a few different things. Yeah, I mean, I sort of personally, my view at this point in my life is like, just if we've learned anything, it's that. Because when Dark Fate came out, I was going like fucking stuff, and there's people on Twitter going like, "Oh, we'll just be so negative, like they could get it right." It's like they haven't 3 times. Like this is Terminator 4, no Terminator 3 4. Like this is the 4th Terminator 3. Like I'm sorry, I know you can I suppose you can link fucking Salvation in 3 because it's got Bryce Dallas Howard in it. It's the same character.
Yeah.
But I don't know what my story would be, because I think the second one wraps it up quite nicely. I mean, you could do it about different characters or scenarios, but then that's kind of less satisfying, I guess. Notionally, I mean,
yeah, like I said as well. Like I do think 2 has its problems. I think 2 sort of it dilutes. It straddles the line of sort of diluting it enough, but not losing too much. It doesn't lose so much that you kind of you lose what a Terminator film is. It still very much feels like a Terminator film. But after that, with stuff like this, it's just I think the story to be told is really what we've kind of half gone over, which is the kind of John Connor, a man out of time, a man with no purpose, a man with and it's like you can tell his story, and then and I think I would go from there. And it's like, do you know what, if actual Terminators are relevant to that, then fine. If they're not, then you may not even need, what I mean? It's like, do we need Arnold fucking rocking up again?
I think if anything's been proven from the last 20 years, is that probably give Arnold a rest. You know what I mean? Terminator didn't have him, and it just stretches credulity so much. But now it's kind of like, well, we've reset the timeline again, so he could just keep being in it. And it's like, you know what? Are you gonna kill him like how Star Wars killed Carrie Fisher? There's gonna be some tragic Arnold death.
God, this is notorious as well for its transition from night to day in like a phone call or whatever, isn't it? Which is really awful. And this thing we've brought up before as well is the fireman can't lift him, which just raises so many questions. It's like, oh, okay, so he weighs a ton, does he? Well, I guess that makes sense, but where have we seen that?
He uses lifts. He drives in cars. How would he go on a motorbike if he weighed the same as a car? You put a car on a motorbike.
Exactly. And this nanobot crap, it's like, oh, okay, so she can see inside the cars. It's like, and why is she turning her head? Why does she need to turn her head like a dog who's confused to make things work? It's like, you don't need to. This is what I mean about acting stuff. So you don't need to physically show that.
It's just
a shot of her, then a shot of that.
They just don't trust the audience, so they just sort of talk down to you by having her go. What they should have done is put a record scratch in there and then have her go before it happens.
They show as well the gear lever and the pedals going down and stuff physically moving in the car, and it's like, but that can't happen unless you've got.
Because if you could let's do the best case scenario. Let's do the best case scenario. The TX work in that car and the gear stick and the pedals move. Yeah. So the TX is inside that non-computerized, fully analog car, operating the engine with nanobots, but then is also using the nanobots to pull the pedals down for a laugh. Because otherwise you're telling me there's loads of nanobots on the pedal, like the numbskulls going, push boys.
Well, it's also, exactly. I mean, it does show it going through a load of circuitry, and even cars of that age would have ECUs and stuff to run the fuel injection, but they wouldn't have like the key, the lock, like the steering column lock would be a physical lock that would have to somehow be turned without the key. You'd have to like you say, you'd have to physically be able to move the pedal and the gear lever. It's like there's so much like analog input that needs to happen to make that work.
Did you know there's a deleted scene at the start of the film where we find out she's friends with ghosts, and that's how she does it. So she does a seance and all the ghosts come, and it's the ghosts of the T-1000, the ghosts of the first Terminator, and they come and help her. So what you can't see is because Robert Patrick wouldn't give his likeness, so originally it was Robert Patrick's ghosts operating the cars, just pushing the pedals.
Right.
Yeah.
But they use Sean Bean, Michael Bean instead.
No, Sean Bean. Sean Bean. Yeah, well, that's it because John and John and T1 Girlfriend were originally played by Michael Bean and Sean Bean. That's the idea. So Sean Bean in drag as T1 Girlfriend. That's
confused me. T1.
T1 Girlfriend's her name. Claire Danes.
So it's a T1 with like some lipstick
and
on
a wig,
it,
but the face of Sean Bean sort of stuck on it.
Just a load of shoes on its treads so that it looks
just nailed on. Right, we are long overdue to talk about the super chat from Wing Coin Exchange, who I think you should read that one. Do you see it? Because it's asking for an Archie voice.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Terminator. Time travel, is it? Yeah. I was a Terminator once. Hardest game in the world.
There you go. Thank you, mate. Thank you for that. Very kind. Very kind. Steve Allen, yeah, Sean Bean, Michael Bean, and Rowan Atkinson in an action film. So the Bean triptych. Don't know the famous Beans.
The hat trick of Bean.
I've noticed
the guy as well. The guy he rear ends in that bit earlier, but he gets out his car and is clearly like probably the stunt coordinator or something. He's just like, "Oh my god, you son of a bitch!" It's like, it's like you're very angry first thing in the morning.
This is it because it is this. I think we talked about this on the last culture we did. This is basically at 4 a.m. or something. Yeah, I don't know. I think it is summer, isn't it, or autumn, like they say.
August or whatever, yeah.
It's like 4 a.m, and the roads are full, and there's a guy just angry man.
Someone's delivering the morning gas.
The morning gas. You got all the gas, Clive? I got all the gas. Where's me bloody gas?
I put classical gas on the roof on in the car. Why, Steve? Why?
So if. Chris Hominski is talking about the GoldenEye remake, which I did talk about that, Chris, at the very start of the stream. I guess you weren't here at the time, because Sean Bean, because all the actor likenesses are really good. So you've got Robbie Carlyle and Robbie Coltrane, and Richard Kill, and Pierce, and Sean Bean, all with upscaled HD faces, which they must be delighted about.
Nice.
Look at me bloody upscaled face from Yorkshire.
Bit there where I like that. For no reason I just like him kicking over an ambulance, but the bit where he takes the shotgun out and like this, it probably encapsulates what this film is so much, because they're essentially replicating obviously the T2. It's not a Winchester, is it? But it's like a Winchester when he's flicking it around.
Yeah, the kind of underlever shotgun. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, and all they do is they have him pull out a shotgun and go. He just goes like that, and it makes a cocking noise, and it's like that's not how you cock a pump action shotgun. It's just like click, click. It's like, what does that mean? What are you saying?
So the Terminator in this looks like if your dad was doing a cosplay of Terminator 2, and all the things he got were sort of close enough. It's like close enough. It's got that kind of
like biker leathers from where he hangs out with the guys on the weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? This big, I remember, wasn't the big thing there obviously was taking down the front of that store with the crane arm. And someone said, I remember seeing like Schwarzenegger gave a load of his money so they could get it done. And it's like, did he though? Because he also took 28 million and a big chunk of the box office return. So it's like, well,
is it
in what world did he need to do that? Like,
right. Well, yeah, that's classic. Well, to me, it's classic IMDb trivia, because this was the time when I used to go surf the IMDb trivia things. It's like, Schwarzenegger gave, and it's like, that was either in a fucking press release or part of the press kit or in an interview. And also, the big thing was they wanted to film it in Toronto, I think. Because of course they did, because cheap cunts making the most expensive film ever. But of course they did. And he pulled for it to be all done in LA because he was running for governor. So it was to score political points and give work to people in Hollywood. Because imagine a Hollywood film shooting in Hollywood. It's absolute madness, I know. But those things can happen. Yeah, but again, all this stuff and so much money went into it. And it's not a very long scene. And it's just not very... It's covered like... It's still covered like television. It's not a terribly interesting...
There's far too many... Like, all the vehicle interactions, so all the clashing together of stuff is so close up. Do you know what I mean? There's not like for the fact that they did a lot of it for real. It's like, why aren't you covering this in what you surely can have cameras on cranes and lots of cameras covering the action. Like, why aren't you? And then it's all the CGI bits as well look really rubbery and crap. Like when the final thing is when the crane goes over on itself, and that's done in CG. It just looks so. That just made the thing pop into my head of when he screws his head back on. Oh god, I hate that. That's like the worst. But
it's just classic. Oh. Like this is again. If you wanted to make a parody of the Terminator, then make Robot Movie with those twats that make fucking all those shit parodies. Make that. But like he literally screws his head back on when it's hanging off on a bit of wire. But it's that awful CGI Schwarzenegger head. That he goes, and
I know. I remember that's where that I was giving the film loads of like leeway when I watched this the first time, but I do remember that moment being the moment that I just checked the fuck out. I was like, I'm done. If a Terminator can just sit back up and screw its head on, where's that? There is no peril in any of this. There's no like. I'm not worried about what's going to happen to him. Where's the other one? He's having his head bashed in by a T-1000 and stabbed with a metal pipe. It's like, in this, it's just like, like I got my back together now. Hello, boy.
Yeah, it's absolute Hanna-Barbera shit, isn't it? Like, it's absolute.
Yeah.
£10 super chat from Caspian S. Thank you very much, Caspian S. If Cameron hadn't already done Aliens, T2 should have been about Skynet sending back many Terminators. Instead of diluting or repeating Terminator 1, theme could have been paranoia with threats drawn everywhere. I quite like the idea of Terminators. There's just like 50 of them in a car park naked.
It's kind of again. I remember that comic that I was referencing earlier, this is kind of thing. I was so I didn't have much money as a kid, so I used to have to go on Forbidden Planet and just read as quickly as I could and then put it back.
I know your pain,
but I remember. Yeah. But I remember that being a thing in that, and it was like that 3 Terminators got sent back or something, or a multitude of them, because that is the next place to go, isn't it? It's the fact that like, oh, John and Sarah are on the run, and it's like we don't know why Terminators are being sent back, but they just are.
Was it in this this one has there's a splash page somewhere of like 4 naked Terminators turning up in a car park somewhere because Skynet sent a bunch of them. And it's all part of that. Again, nobody really knew what they were doing yet, or Terminator 2. Yeah, look at all these. Look at all these naked future fucks. God, where'd they even get to the past? Yeah, there you go. So there's a bunch of them turning up in a car park somewhere. Probably can't see it very well.
Right.
But
no.
Oh yeah, and one of them's got like a gun in its bum, so it pulls it out and it's covered in blood or whatever. Because nothing dead can go. So gun up the bum, I guess. Gun up the bum.
I mean, that does make. You hit the on the place. Well, no, I mean that makes sense. It's like, I don't understand why that never happens. It's like a Terminator doesn't rock up, find a sort of machete, and just cut open a gun pouch and pull it out. I mean, I suppose it's like you can acquire weapons, but you would think.
Well, I think this is the thing that's been kind of the thing that's totally got lost in the wash really with the first film is like sending an Terminator back was the last desperate gamble of a dead opponent. Like having like a bunch of them, even Terminator 2 stretches that, frankly. And I love Terminator 2. Like it stretches that. The premise is stretched yet again because you've got to sort of keep having a reason why there's more and more and more of them coming back all the time and shit. So just stop. It made a bunch of money once, made a bunch of money twice actually, but you're not going to do that again. So too bad. They were. Terminator Genesis made a bunch of money in China, so good for them.
I just think as well though, it's like you've got you take a risk, like you've made all the money, just do something interesting. Like that's what they don't seem to get. Is that like the first two, the first one just by the fact that it was an original at the time was a gamble. The second one was a gamble because they were messing with the formula. in a way, but obviously keeping the formula in another way. But it's like, do something somewhat subversive. I mean, I think they are because it's a woman with boobies, and also, like the ending. People point to the ending of this and say that's really clever and actually it's subversive, and it's like, no, it isn't. What the thing that happens.
Yeah, I think
also squanders the whole film, because that's what again, John Connor's made out to be a feckless idiot, because it's like when he spent the whole thing being duped into going somewhere. It's like,
yeah, his origin story is he was tricked, and luckily he's easy to trick because he's an idiot. the backstory to John Connor. Luckily, he's a moron, so you can just trick him.
Doesn't show any leadership, because it's the whole point is that Claire Danes is the one who caught and reprogrammed this Terminator after it killed John Connor. It's like he's just shown to be this utterly stupid. Like, was he ever really the leader of anything? Like, did he really need? It's again squanders that character, much like Deepfake did. With killing him off at the start. It's like, why?
Yeah. Well, my view is that you should never see John Connor, right? And that's what Terminator 2 works, because you don't. You see a little boy who's going to be John, but you never see John Connor. Like, you don't have him running around drinking Budweiser and complaining.
Again, MacGuffin. John Connor's a MacGuffin. The war is a MacGuffin. That was the whole point, was to set up the stakes of that film. Was that we must protect that in order to prevent that. Fine. And it wasn't even to prevent the war, was it? It was to just make sure that humanity wasn't wiped out by it.
Yeah. So in this, does he do any whiz kid shit at all? Like I think he builds some bombs, doesn't he, later on? In the scene at the campsite, I think he might be building some pipe bombs or something, which is a clever callback to a thing that happened. So they must have watched at least a bit of the first one before they got bored. But they don't build on him being like a computer kind of whiz or anything, because he has his little Atari laptop in Terminator 2, and they throw in that he kind of, because something that's not really talked about in Terminator 1 is that I guess he's good at computers, and that's the thing they kind of put in, and it's not too you're not beaten over the head with it in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, I don't know, like he fingered her at someone's house party once. That's all we know about him. or whatever. Sorry, did I lower the tone?
Yeah, I mean, but no, I don't think you do see him doing anything particularly innovative. He just runs around, screeches, and complains, like you say, and it's like, what you about what? Like what? It's like. This is see, again, right? This is much like my complaint with The Predator. I don't know what it is about showing your supposedly serious, deadly character through the viewing window in the bulkhead of a van. But that's sort of annoys me as well. It's like, tell him who I am, and you don't actually see him. He just slides in and goes, John Connor is the leader of the resistance. It's like,
well, that sorts it all out there, I guess.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah, what? So, talk me through your experience of viewing Terminator 3 for the first time. Then, like, is there a moment you remember just being like, "Oh God, no"? And was that before you walked in?
No, it was. So I was. I think having seen the trailer, I'd absorbed it all. This is in the early days of them releasing stuff online, but I do remember like absorbing the trailers like mad and being like, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God!" Me and my mate watched the first 2 films the night before.
Oh, we did that as well. It's the exact same thing, me and Nick,
Yeah. And then we went, me and my mate Ali went and saw it, and went out afterwards for a sort of conciliatory pint, and I was just like, the fuck was that? Like, because I remember we went to Norwich, we stayed at my house in Norwich because it was right before my second year of uni started, so I was kind of like, it was in the summer, so we were like, let's just go stay there, there's a house, it's empty, we can just go hang out and whatever. And I was just like, this is just awful. So yeah, having watched the first 2 the night before, we go along, and I think I'm trying to nail down the first moment. It's probably something like, I mean, now that I look back on it, it's like there's loads of stuff wrong with it, but I suppose it probably was the John Connor going, "Don't you remember me?" stuff, and me just thinking, what are you like? Again, like you say, it's like, didn't you watch? Why are you making him stupid? Like, and why do you think so little of me that I'm not going to pick up on that and be like, yeah, like, well, hang on. you're making a point that you think's really clever, because it sort of goes, that was a different thing, and he goes, and then John Connor goes, what, do you roll off a production line or something?
Literally, yes. That's what you were raised to believe. This is basically your religion, John. That's what my Terminator.
Yeah.
This is
also
this
in the
is
second
you.
film. He says to him, doesn't he say, like, now, don't take this the wrong way, but you are a Terminator, right? As in a Terminator. There are multiples of them, and he knows him by looking at it. It's like, right, so
Yeah. Well, he might as well, in the van scene, might as well go, get away from me, you tried to kill my mum in 1984! Like, for all the sense it makes.
Exactly.
Really. Because it's also, like, all the stuff about, like, they're trying to flee to Mexico and stuff, right? They're trying to flee the La Blas zone or whatever. That's why the Terminator picks him up, and getting John's just lucky because he was there for Claire Danes. And it's like, that's what, this is very much, to me, someone who's copied someone else's homework, and when the teacher says your homework is just like Gary's homework, you say no, it's not, because I use green pen. Like,
yeah, pretty much,
right? I mean, I don't.
Is this supposed to be a sort of copy of the Lance Henriksen cop? Buddy
seems
cop
that way,
type,
doesn't it? It seems that way, because they give. I love the Lance Henriksen and his name's gone out of my head. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
Anyway, they have so much character packed in to their scenes, and there are more scenes with those two in the first movie. I don't know if you've watched those deleted scenes, but they have a little bit more going.
Yes, yeah, no, I have. Yeah.
But in spite of those scenes being missing, like, those two have so much personality, and you learn so much about them, because, like, Lance Henriksen, they're both good cops, but Lance Henriksen is a bit over the top, and he's a bit insensitive, and he's a bit jaded, and he keeps making all these comments. Whereas, his boss is a bit like, hey, come on, Ed, like, what are you doing? Like, was it?
Yeah.
Burned his Afghan, screwed it first, like, all that stuff. Whereas these guys have different coloured coats.
Yeah.
And because there's that one when he puts his fist through his chest.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, that's some. Because, I'm not one of these things I used to get really annoyed about is like, oh, well, the film's a 12A and that means it's bad. That's not necessarily true, because it's not the violence that made those films good. It's easy to think that when you're 18.
No,
but that's a bit, quite a violent bit of.
I think, though, it's more of a tonal thing than anything. I think it's actually, the violence, because that's a really nasty bit of violence in this, but because it's in a sort of Funko Pop version of a Terminator film, it doesn't land. Like, whereas, do you know what I mean? Though the Terminator rips the heart out of Bill Paxton in the first one, and it's like it's really visceral, but you don't see, like, his fist going through. You see
you don't even see his,
like, blood, and
you don't see his heart, really. You just see the blood-covered fist, which sounds like something you'd find in the basement of a German nightclub. But never mind.
Yeah. So in the split diopter.
Oh, look at that split diopter! The split diopters of cinema.
Split diopter, I hardly knew it. Yeah. So it's tonal. It's purely like, and that's shown as well in the fact that the first Terminator film got revised, didn't it? It was an 18, now it's a 15, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so tame by today's standards, and that was 18. And I think it does what it does have is a sense of menace, which the second one does, but to a lesser degree, because the second one is by design a softer film, because it was designed. I was kind of thinking about this earlier, like what this film, and I kind of touched on it in a very ineloquent way, but this film. Because James Cameron makes kind of theme park rides, and this film wants to do that, and they think that if you just throw in a few jokes and spend like $50 million on a truck chase, then you've nailed it, and that's it. But it just doesn't have any of the heart. It doesn't really know what its tone wants to be. Like, just like Alan, what's his name, who directed Terminator Genesis? TV director. They just parachuted in. John Mostow is a film director, but not one of note. So it's just they just like want to go. Yeah, we pay you. He's being paid to do what the producers tell him. If anybody wants to pay me to do what I'm told by producers, I am open for work at any time. You contact me, but the Val Verde just, you know what I mean? Like it really is this completely soulless enterprise.
Yeah, totally. And it seems to be sort of made by, I think they think that the only thing people talk about Terminator 2 with reference to is these special effects. And that it's only ever spoken about in those terms, and therefore that's what you need to focus on in order to make a successful film. And it's like, it really isn't. You know, see this stuff as well. Like they went there just to get a cache of weapons.
This is where we get, the up to this point the only recurring cast member, the mighty Al Bowen, who I really like generally to see in things, because
totally squandered here though.
Oh god, for such a cheap joke. The thing is as well, he, bless him, he delivers the lines so well. Like he goes, you'd see things, crazy things, and it's like, again, in an SNL skit that would be great, but in an actual Terminator film, because he's really prolific voice actor, so he's the ghost pirate LeChuck in the Monkey Island games, which are very close to my heart. He's in like
he's in that. I think he did the Justice League stuff as well. I think he did a lot of that.
Right, that had everyone. I think so. That had all the voice actors. The Justice League cartoon.
Yeah,
like, which is really
cool. Really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's no, he's fantastic. But it's sort of like he's also appears to have gone back to working as a police psychologist as well, like he was in the first one. Because in the second one, he's running a mental institute. And the implication is because he's built his reputation on like Sarah Connor and what happened, unfairly he's risen through the ranks. I mean, it's implied. It's not necessarily
because the line in the first one is, I could build a career out of this guy, and then it's kind of implied that he has, and it's a bit gross, and like he's shown to be a real because that's a great one scene character. Well, it's not one scene, like let's say a 2-scene character that's given such significance in the next movie. And for some reason they cut his name out of Dark Fate, which I found really weird. When they played the Sarah Connor videotape at the start.
Yeah,
they cut.
Yeah, I know. I didn't get that. I'm like, why can't you reference your character? You don't have to show him.
Yeah. This is a real. There's a real police psychologist called Silverman that just wasn't having any of it. Also, the coffin looks shit. Like it's so obviously on a wire, and it's just.
That bit there, when she punches through the stomach and turns the car around, drives it. Like the implication is that she drives the thing all the way there through his tummy, and it's like the working the pedal.
What's that? Oh, don't worry, it's just some police. It's just the thing is, what you didn't see is they drove past like some other police, and she used her spare hand to take the policeman's hand and go
Oh god! See this bit as well. Like again, bless her, Claire Danes is doing the best she can. But it's like, when she's like, the first thing she says to him is, "He isn't human. He really isn't human." Like she's completely out of it. It's like we show her to be capable, right? That whole first interaction with John Connor, like she disarms him. She's really like she's a really capable person, but she's only capable when it's convenient for the plot, right? Because later on, she's like, there's that throwaway bit of ADR as they're running across like the airfield. She goes like, "There's my father's plane, I trained on it," and it's like, oh, I guess you can fly a fucking 747 then, love, can't you? It's like, because we need to fly, so we need to get from A to B, pots and pans, fucking here's just you're useful for that now.
Her dad being the steward of Skynet as well, and again, if she was some random woman, and you could argue about fate and stuff, and it's just like, nope, it's his kind of not girlfriend from school, I guess. But apart from that, we really love it. I really like this film. This had like really dreadful tie-in games as well.
I know. I had it. I remember having it. I remember to add insult. Yeah, so to add insult to injury, I bought, because the game came out at the same time, I think, as the film did on DVD.
Right.
And I think I bought the DVD like an idiot because I was some sort of weirdo completist, and then I got the game. And then to add insult to injury, I think they put the wrong one in the box. So I bought the Xbox version, but they put the PlayStation version in it or something. So I had to go back. So I had to like fanny around. Like I had to put in far too much effort to play the game, basically, and it was so terrible.
Is it possible that was a time traveling Duncan that did that to stop you? But you did it anyway. You ended up playing it regardless. I played the one on PC. I bought the PC one. So there's the game Battlefield 1942, and there's a Terminator mod coming out, and that looked really exciting. And then they fucking cancelled it because they were releasing this one called War of the Machines, which was a rip-off of Battlefield, but not nearly as good. And I played the demo, and I was like, oh, this will be good when it's finished. And I bought the game and went, oh, it's finished. It was not good. There's the T3. There's the oh, go on.
Sorry, this bit with Claire Danes just literally like running through the graveyard, like she's just left the whole thing and just sort of she's just looking around. What for? What are you looking for?
Bye.
She's just picking about in a graveyard. What are you doing?
Also, the build up to this.
You're looking for a long lost relative.
Looking for names on the graves.
Looking at just reading all the graves. And this bit as well, we've spoken about as well. Why does it change? Other than to do this sort of whip around pan shot of her changing, Like, walk up to her and kill her. She thinks you're her fiance.
Yeah, you have no reason whatsoever to change other than to put an effect shot in. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, I don't think a Terminator would show off. It's like, I could change. I mean, I don't, you know, the build up to this scene as well is kind of like the Terminator just thinks it would be funny to make John Connor think that they're doing grave robbing. Because instead of just going, oh, your mum's coffin, it's not there, she had a burial in Mexico, there's loads of guns there, but he doesn't. And the film even makes you think, look, you're just going to go have a good old Johnny look at an emaciated skeleton.
Yeah. I know, it's such bullshit. Sorry, you were saying something before that, and I jumped in with my clip.
No, yours was relevant to the film. There was another Terminator 3 game, a third-person one, which people seem to like, where they didn't have Arnold's voice, had an impersonator, whereas I think the other ones had his voice.
That one I did have as well. And that was called like Redemption.
Redemption, that's it.
Of course it was. Which must have been a bit of a dig at like all the other games, because it's like, well, this is the redeeming one, is it? But it sort of was. It wasn't bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. I remember that.
It was fun. Like, it didn't hold my attention. I didn't complete it or anything, but it was fun. You know, it didn't offend me, which is more like I say for most of them. Because there were prequel comics and novels and just everything. There was everything. The website for this film as well had all these fan art submissions and stuff, and was really, really involved website, because they were really, I think this, you know what, I'm going to head on over to Box Office Mojo and pull the numbers that I could not be bothered with doing earlier.
While you do that, I'm just going to, because I don't think we read Sam Montgomery's super chat, did we? That came in order. So he sent £5. He says fans make the defense that the Terminator is a T-850 to explain the fuel cells and stuff, but does the film ever refer to him as a T-850? I think it does.
He does. I think he does, doesn't he? He does it himself in dialogue. I think in the fuel cell scene. Because I remember in marketing they kept calling the TX the Terminatrix, which is like, a friend of mine at the time said, well, you know, the Terminator might as well be called the Hunkinator then.
I mean, again, it's like it's limiting. Like, what's the advantage of the TX? Like, they're like, it's more advanced. It's like, is it because the T1000 could just be anyone?
Oh, and Skynet giving it a sexy name as well.
So why does it need to be female at all? It can be men because it copies men. So why is it? I mean, not that I just don't have a problem with it, but it's like, why does she need a female name? Why are they gendering their Terminators?
Yeah,
who can be anyone?
It's almost like what? I mean, it's not like they come off a production line, Duncan. Right, so Box Office Mojo has this down as a 200 million budget, which might be adjusted, I don't know. Made 150 million in the US. The second highest grossing market was the UK. Bow your head in shame, the UK. 30 million. Yeah, just looking at across between US, UK and Germany covers its budget, and then it picks up a bunch. Not hugely though. I'm not okay, no, Japan. Oh no, I apologise. It made 67 million in Japan. So yeah, this made a more than tidy profit globally. Which is not that.
Don't films have to sort of at least make back twice their budget though?
Well, this did 433 million worldwide, so it more than doubled its budget.
Oh, there you go. Big bank then.
Big bank, because I think it was C2 Films. I can't remember. One of the financiers who you see at the top of the film are some kind of sketchy hedge fund that then got in trouble and no longer exists. So it was partially funded. I think there was legal stuff related to them, whoever they are. So there's just like delicious money laundering.
They set back up as with a brilliant idea to short GameStop or something.
No, instead of Terminator sequels, they're short selling. See, we can do current.
We finally got our license, our practices back, boys. What are we gonna do? I hear shorting GameStop is a great idea.
Buy Dogecoin. Get Dogecoin.
Yeah. Our scheme is the trapezoid. I'm gonna drink.
I'm out of booze. I just had those 2 beers because I'm behaving tonight.
Yeah. The one to my medicine to help the pain go down or whatever.
Yeah, man. I was furiously angry when I watched this. I just sort of, because I used to be angry guy was my thing.
They were perturbed.
Exactly, sort of like non-committal but faintly angry man. I was convinced this was going to be awful, and then in like the 2-3 days leading up to it, I was kind of like, no, it might be all right. Actually, I could be wrong. And then I think from the start it was just like, oh no. And then because pretty much the first Terminator scene is the bar scene is first, and that's when I was just like, oh wow, it's not just because it wasn't just bad. It's just so wantonly disrespectful. Like it's genuinely like, oh well, those other films were stupid, and it's like, oh yeah, call me an idiot. That'll make me want to watch a film. Good one, nice fucking.
Well, right, and exactly, and it's one of those things. But again, it sort of speaks to the hurriedness of production. It's like these are all things that, in isolation, now that I think about it, you probably sat around on set and thought, like like with Earl Bowen, it's like, this would be really funny because you'd be like, you see things, crazy things, and now they're going to know what you're talking about. And it's like, it's like we're peering through the fourth wall and everyone's going to think it's really funny. Little throwaway gag, don't worry about it. And it's like, yeah, but you did that with everything.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's like the Elton John sunglasses. It's like, you've just, again, neutered your character. Like they have with John Connor. It's like, he's got no balls. None of this has, and I don't mean like, even masculine balls. It's like, because they do it with Claire Danes as well. They give her balls and then take them straight away again, and then give them back when it's like convenient. Like when she shoots down that tiny HK, she's really like, and he goes, and then this sick line, "You remind me of my mother. Let's fuck." I implied that, but you know what I mean.
But yeah, it's really misjudged.
You know what I mean? But then the rest of the time, they want her to just be a sort of shrieking idiot, like running around a graveyard aimlessly. And it's kind of like, well, we can't have your cake and eat it too with that. Like, either she's this sort of very hyper capable person who has agency and will go on to be a significant part of the resistance, or she ain't. Like, what is it? Like, and John Connor's just a feckless dipshit as well. It's like, these two are our best hope, are they? Like, I'm not buying that.
Oh my god! Yeah, they do dirty on her, and again they bring it because it was the same screenwriters, I think, for. Wrote the story for Terminator Salvation, and then Jonathan Nolan and I think McGee then had a pass beyond that, so like bringing back that character as Bryce Dallas Howard, and it's just like, okay, she's gone from being a vet to now she can do a heart transplant.
Yeah, again, see, what's frustrating about this, like Bryce Dallas Howard I really like, and I think she's really good in that, and I think actually the character is done much better justice in that film.
Yeah, well, to the degree that it's not the same person, being my point. Like, it's a completely different person.
Yeah.
But yeah,
sure.
There's kind of glimpses of something better, It's just, the whole thing is just so immensely frustrating. But yeah, I got very, very angry when I walked out of the film angry, and I think there's probably beers after that as well. But just like, but then I'm kind of angry at myself, so I knew it was going to be shit, and I took myself out of it,
Yeah.
So.
I think the makeup job as well on him is so sort of lazy, and I don't mean that. I really hate to sort of take this, but it's like, and Stan Winston did this, but it's like the like cuts on his face just have silver behind them, and it's like, yeah, but in where that isn't, it's like, well, it's not just all metal underneath. You know what I mean? It's like, whereas in the first two, they went to great lengths to sort of understand what part was under where and show it. You know what I mean? Whereas here, he's got an bit of metal, like right where his tooth should be. It's like, well, that doesn't.
I hate that the most. It's like, yeah, there's not like a layer of tinfoil under the skin. Like, what do you think's going on here?
Because it's just on the skin and it's moving around with his skin and stuff, and it's like, I mean, I know that's because it's makeup, but it's like you need to put a bit, like, it will cover it better, because I know, like, in the second film when he's really bashed up at the end, when you see the sort of makeup test and stuff, it's really obviously like sort of stuck on the side of his head, like his head's sort of extra big on that side, because the way it's covered in the film. It works
and they
well.
did it for a fraction of the cost, like in the first one at least. So it's kind of, and it looks a bit ropey.
No, but in the second,
and they're doing it because you're right. They cover it from the right angle, because even like Mr. Universe's arm's quite big, so it's going to be quite hard to hide behind his back. So they do it at kind of 3/4 angle to try and hide it. I mean, there's a design aesthetic in this. So we discover that the inside of at least the T850 is full of Christmas lights. The TX is full of Christmas lights, and then they designed for all the ancillary material, including the video games and stuff. They had the T900, which is a T800 head on a body without the Skellingtonness, so it's kind of smooth, covered in Christmas lights, and you can have a blue one and a pink one. And it's kind of like, okay, so basically they're fighting a ground war at night where their soldiers are covered in lights for no reason. No reason. I know they got glowing eyes, right? But they're walking across a battlefield lit up. Like, I'm going to try and find that, actually. Yeah. It's a desperately awful design choice. And
I think as well, it's done so that they don't have to animate it, because it was done for computer games, wasn't it? So it's just easier to animate rather than having loads of different little bits.
But frustratingly, I think you could be a proper Terminator as well.
Right.
Oh God, it's so horrible. Yeah, and also those Terminators are in this film, in the deleted scenes. They're working on T-900s in the lab. And it's like,
oh, really?
Why have they got that now? That's not what's happening in Terminator. Like, and this, in case you hadn't noticed,
people didn't make Terminator. Like, that's what I don't get. It's like, why have humans made it?
Well, yeah. Oh my God! And an advancement. It's like, lads, like, did anybody realise we're making a Terminator? You know, we're making a Terminator. Are we?
Yeah. Watch the first film. Like, he's like, the 600 series. You can spot them easy. They had rubber skin, but these ones are new and have bad breath. You know what I mean? It's like, they were made to do this. Like, why would humans build, like, just in case we need infiltration units? Like,
all right, mate. I mean, get your eyes on the stream. Get your eyes on the stream. I'm gonna drop. I'm gonna parachute something in for us all to look at, because let's not watch the film. This is the T900, and you see one in the kind of background. Oh God! I thought I'd broken OBS then. You see one in the background of a scene, in a deleted scene, covered in red Christmas lights. This one, but this, can you see it? Is it up yet? On YouTube.
Yes. Oh yeah, God, I remember that.
You see, and it's just completely smooth. So why has it even got a skeleton face? Because the point in having that shape is to fit all the kind of musculature and stuff in it. So that would just have like a skin bag pulled over it, I guess. Like a skin colour.
Well, which is essentially, I mean, like, I have to say, like, the original Terminator design doesn't really hold water when you think about it, because it's like, well, that'd all have to be attached to metal with sinew, and then why has it got muscle? Do you know how do the muscles work?
Yeah.
But whatever, you know, you kind of go with it. I mean, I think if you were to reimagine it now in a sort of horrific, realistic way, it would also have, like, you know, if it got burned in a fire, it would come out with all kinds of, like, cables hanging out, you know, stuff that was designed to sort of attach and fire the muscle fibers, and, you know what I mean, like all sorts of gross charred things on it, and, you know, but that's fine. I mean, I genuinely think the only place to go now, if a gun to my head, I had to make a Terminator film, I would make a remake of the first one, but I would do it in such a way that was like, that really captured that aesthetic and that feel and that horror side of it, but just done with modern.
Well, since you mentioned that, there's something that Dark Fate had to do, which they do, which a new Terminator film would have to do as well. There's no way a super advanced robot that comes back from the future isn't constantly connected to the internet, right? And can beat every encryption. And that was one of the good things about the Gabriel Luna Terminator, was because you had to stay, you couldn't use a phone, you couldn't use a computer, you couldn't be on CCTV even, because it can see everything. And as soon as you stick your head above the parapet, it doesn't matter if from the other side of the fucking world, it will come and find you. And a new Terminator would really kind of have to have that, because you can't go, oh yeah, it's from 50 years in the future, it's inscrutably advanced, but also it doesn't have broadband. You know, you have to.
I think the thing to say with that though would be like, you could look at it that way, or you could still set it in the early 80s, but have that be a weakness of the Terminator. Basically, it's sent back from a time where everything was connected, and it's having to like work without the ability to connect and network and all that kind of thing.
So you're acknowledging the future without actually going there. The future being our present.
Yeah. Well, that's more the kind of area I would look at. Is that, like, you know, it's coming from a future of interconnected everything, and it's having to adapt to being a sort of solo soldier. You know, that's probably how I would address that, because you're right, it doesn't work otherwise. If you set it in the modern day, there's probably an app to turn off your Terminator. You know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't.
The Genesis.
It just feels like it's not.
I just need to. Blessed. Is it Blessed 011 in the chat? I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. Blessed says single sentence pitch: let the Terminator series die. Just to be clear, that we are, Duncan and I are, let the Terminator series die, folks, I think. But it's nice to sort of talk about, you know, we just have a little chat about ways you could do it, I guess. Because, I suppose if again, This is the thing. I think this is the thing. People working on Terminator films below a certain level, less so on the last one, because I do believe Tim Miller was into it and stuff. But like, I think Terminator Genesis is a really good example that the Ellisons wanted a Terminator film, so they walked out and pointed a gun to a bunch of people's heads and went, "Make a Terminator film." And this as well. Really, is like just we make a Terminator film. Make a Terminator film. We want one now. Like, there's no story to be told. Yeah. They just want a Terminator film to exist. So it's like, make a fucking Terminator film. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think I suppose, you know, I think that the worst thing about this film is having grown up. I think you and I were really in the wheelhouse of Terminator generationally, which is that the first one came out when we weren't allowed to watch it. We weren't really allowed to watch the second one either, but we were hyper aware of it, and it was this sort of like crazy cool series of 2 films that were like amazing, that absolutely blew us away and went above and beyond everyone's expectation. And so you're growing up with that. And then when they're going to make a third one, when it's that you don't believe that anyone could come to making a Terminator film without having that level of reverence for it. So the idea that some fucking committee sort of did exactly as you just said, which was to just chuck a big wad of money at Schwarzenegger and go, make a Terminator film exist now, was inconceivable. So to think that that someone had the opportunity to do what we would have loved to have done and literally pissed it up the wall like this.
Yeah. In
the most lazy, cynical way.
4 times over.
It's just, yeah.
It's kind of, it's the feeling of when Alien vs Predator came out. It's kind of like, we've all wanted this. This is the tackiest concept that nobody wanted to make, and so many people could have done a better job than this. And now we have to fucking watch it. You know.
Yeah.
So Steve Allen says, Richard, Duncan Casey as the Bristol Terminator for Terminator 3 would have been a better film. Trying to kill John Connor on a school trip to Cornwall. Here, hello.
Not sure I understand some of that, but fair enough.
I remember.
There's Ian McCall.
Always, surely.
That looks like the thing the Emperor fell down.
Yeah, but he knew Vader was betraying him the whole time and made preparations.
I think I've said this before, but that's always just a funny thing to cut to, and it's like as a gif. It's the noise he makes though, and he's like,
it was all part of the plan, Duncan.
I guess I'll survive this or whatever.
Or whatever. I once had a slightly unhinged colleague who I won't name. When I worked at the cinema, there's a guy who he had sort of like school shooter energy, you know what I mean? You would find him, you would just walk in on him in the corner of a room just going like just being angry. He was quite frightening. He I worked at the cinema around the time Alien vs Predator was coming out, and I was just stood there at the drop box one day, and he goes like, "You know what we're getting next, don't you?" And I was kind of like, "What?" And he goes, "RVT." And I was like, "RVT?" And he's like, "Robocop versus Terminator." And I was like, "No, we're not." And he goes like, "They are. They're filming it now. It's coming out next year." And it was proper school lie. It was like playground lie. And I was like, I don't think they are, mate. I don't think that's a thing. And he's like, "They are. It's happening." And just sort of walked off. And I was like, is he getting a crossbow? Like, was I supposed to just sort of like be
they
like,
are,
"Oh yeah,
I'll kill you."
If it doesn't, it's your fault. They're just like, "Oh, you scary fuck." Okay, whatever. Good.
I hate that. I hate that as well. Do you know what? I hate that because, firstly, because he just rips a Gatling gun off a thing that's designed, you know, and then can use it, even though it has no
as if it
trigger
does have a trigger on it. Like, you know.
But then also, there's a callback which I've only just realised they've done. You know, in the the second one, after he's used the minigun, he drops it on the floor, and there's that shot of the floor and it crashing to the floor. They just did it there as a sort of in one of those artificial slow-mo callbacks.
They do the shot of him when he's on the police bike. They do the kind of skid to camera before the truck chase.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay. I can, from watching this, I can claim that you've seen probably about 3 minutes of clips from the first 2 Terminator films. It's all I can sort of.
You bought one of those old things that you used to put your head in, and like it would just. And then
that's it. Yeah, got the 12-minute 16mm film edit with no sound that you watched in your living room. Like again, it sort of feels like Billy bullshitting has come up in the chat again. it does feel like the Playground Liars version of Terminator 3. Like this is the film that your friend claims to have seen in America after Back to the Future 4, when Marty meets the dinosaurs in Dinosaur Times.
I know.
He has to make the DeLorean work by going in a volcano.
So you've got, this is the thing, right? You've got Claire Danes is a very competent cry actor, so she's very good at being unhinged and crying, right? But she literally, like, right there, watching this with the sound off is so funny, because she literally does this amazing, like, emotive performance in close up as she's watching her father die, right? Which is a horrible thing, and she's selling it like mad. But it cuts away to Arnold shooting a rocket, or like stuff like a rubbery CGI thing, firing a rocket, and Arnold like shooting out the window like he's some sort of I don't know, like redneck.
Well, the tonal shifts, and like because great, because she's and she's wasted in this. Frankly, she does such a good job. But like they get her to do the emotive thing, and then the film just goes like whatever, and just. Don't let the moment breathe. It's kind of, we got fucking Happy Meals to sell, you cunts. Come on, we need the scene with the rocket. Like the whole fight in this section between him and the TX, and him with the big canister whomping her around and stuff. It just looks so shit. It's like proper.
And this is presumably supposed to be our, T800 versus T1000 in Terminator 2, right? This is supposed to be that.
Surely, and because it feels like the mall fight, doesn't it? A little bit, because she puts it through the toilet wall and stuff, and it's like, oh no. Okay.
She likes it, so she got caught out there because she was checking herself out in the mirror.
Dude, nobody understands. Nobody made this film knows what Terminators are. Dude, they're skin-covered angry toasters is the best way to describe a Terminator. I don't know what to tell you.
Least of all Arnold, apparently, because
he just turns up.
And that bit's like, she grabs me by my balls, but they don't have balls. It's like, you do have balls, mate.
Yeah,
you saw them snapping around.
Slapping against your thigh in the first one. There's that deleted scene where he's waiting for a bus. He takes a bus to the Griffith Observatory, and he sits down and waits on a glass coffee table. And you see his big pink pancake from underneath. It was
20 minutes.
It was originally supposed to be in 3D. Oh, Mr. Universe's scrotum smushed against glass. Don't forget his anus. Also, the horrible Oakley. Are they Oakleys? You know these things better than me. The horrible Oakley shades that sort of like, when you see sort of middle-aged men ranting in the front of a truck on Facebook, that's who wears those. Admittedly, in 2021.
Yeah, or like who like those weekend road bikers.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean?
He might as well wear those yellow tinted ones they wear to give you more road awareness. He should have had a pair of those.
They're the ones. You're not a driver, but trust me, they're the kind of horrible, like this. As you round a country lane, only to be greeted by the sight of middle-aged testes squeezed into lycra, like staring you up.
I feel like I've been on the other side of that.
Yeah, exactly. You're part of the problem. Just big lycra-clad, sweaty, hairy ass pumping away.
I've never made the leap to lycra. I don't have lycra shorts. I have a lycra. Someone bought me like a named riding jersey for my birthday, so I've got the lycra top half, but I don't have the lycra shorts, compressing my testes for the whole world to see.
See, this bit annoys me as well. Like, you can take down an HK that apparently they make in travel size with an AK-47.
The thing is, it does look like the camera drones we use now, so it's kind of prescient in a way. But with an AK-47, oh good, you can kill this super futuristic drone with a weapon invented in Russia 60 years ago, which was a copy of design invented by the Germans 70 years ago. Very good. That's excellent work. Because you've got an ass like my mom, or whatever he says. If a weird
Your ass reminds me of my mother. What? We gotta go.
Don't think about it. Run.
Let's get in a super collider.
They just got
Ever
it
have
there.
sex in a particle accelerator? No.
Oh,
You have now, I think, or whatever.
the Terminator, the TX's only weakness is magnets, which, coming to think of it, is every Terminator's only weakness. Which, coming to think of it, shouldn't really work because it's titanium. But never mind. I guess the liquid metal is magnetic. Can she?
Or whatever.
Or whatever,
it's running around with his little man bag satchel on his back as well. It's just like, what are you, John Connor? What are you?
What are you? What are you?
Nothing is made of this simian in a
a fucking chimp with a handbag. That's what John Connor is. Poor Nick Stahl. Poor simian Nick Stahl.
Magnetic field activated. It's like, is that what particle accelerators do? Is that a particle accelerator? It isn't. I don't know.
They just made the world's biggest horseshoe magnet and buried it. For science. Just for science. It's a big. If you see it from.
What happened if you left a paperclip in there or whatever?
If you see it from space, it's painted red with the little silver tips on the end and everything, like a real magnet. It's just like, can the TX use a compass? Is that a problem?
Also, they're wearing jewelry and stuff. His little man bag's got like metal buckles on it and stuff like that.
Her watch goes on it, doesn't it? And he has to like undo her watch.
Does it?
Yeah, I'm sure.
No, she's still wearing it. Oh. She's still wearing it.
I thought
that's bollocks.
That's you fucking liar. I thought her watch went on it, and is that another film? Probably a different, better film. I don't know.
But she's still wearing a watch.
Okay.
An actually good film. Here's their stand-ins doing a run because they look nothing like.
What do you mean? That's movie magic.
Thing is, it's a stunt double or something. It's just like ADR's in. There's a plane. I know how to fly planes because I like flying planes.
Bye.
Let's go.
Let's fly to a bunker.
Look how rubbery that looks. That looks so bad. Oh my god.
This was the age because also, I guess same year was it? The first Matrix sequel. Because that had loads of. Was that 2003? Or is it?
So, yeah.
They had.
Loaded. Well, they went a year, didn't they? It came out. Reloaded came out early in the year, and
then the
Revolutions
was
came
that?
out.
I thought so, yeah. So one at kind of summer, one at Christmas. They did that thing where it's like, oh, well, now we've done full body scans of people, so there's full body CGI people, and they all look dreadful. They look so rubbish. Like, because the first one had that. They did the bullet time thing, and it was like 400 DSLRs in a circle. That took all those pictures, and then it looked, because it was a real guy, it was like, oh, that was fucking incredible. And then suddenly it's the super duper Stretch Armstrong rubbery dubbery. Because I think that when Trinity, like, he sees Trinity's death in a vision, and she sort of jumps backwards out the window, they go right in close on her horrible Stretch Armstrong face.
No, I think that's real. I think that's actually Carrie-Anne Moss on a thing. I think that was done real. It's all the Neo stuff when he's like flying up through the clouds, and you just think it's because it's like you pioneered like almost virtual cameras,
and then like fucked it all off.
You moved the camera through space, and now you fucked it off for what? Like, just to do a really run-of-the-mill job with your CGI. It's a shame, it really is a shame. I mean, I know they tried to push the boat on a lot of it, which is fair, but why did she jump on his back? How was that? Like, I'm going to get him to give me a piggyback. That'll
teach him. That'll learn him.
Yeah.
And
my dad hates this. I mean, hated.
John Connor's like, my dad's dead and also not born yet. I like gave birth to my own dad or something, which means you have to fuck me now.
Whatever.
Or whatever. See, I think like
we're gonna have a lot of time in that bunker there.
A lot of time alone, a lot of nuclear war outside. The thing of the TX using her nanobots on him, which she could have done at any point she had hands on him, basically. I feel like that was sold to Arnold as his big emotional moment, and I can't remember what he says, but he goes like, "Daughter running away, I am a bad robot," and then he sort of like punches a car till it goes away. It's like, well, okay.
So the problem with this scene is twofold for both of those characters, because again we make John Connor a fucking overly emotionally attached to a robot dipshit, because he's like he's literally walking up to him, going like, "Run! I'm gonna kill you! There's something wrong with me!" And he's just like, "What?" It's just like, "Friend," and it's just like, "What are you doing? Like, run away, run away!" Like, and then yeah, but then also he can just bash out the programming that's in him. Like if he just destroys the car. Is that his way of
that's
saying?
What,
well,
that's what happens if your phone gets hacked by hackers. You just have to let your phone punch a car, and then it will go back to normal.
It's the idea that he just has to destroy something, and then it will be fine.
What though? like what though? Like what? No, like absolutely not. There's no like if someone hacks your computer, you can't just shake it till all the hacking falls out. Like it's not how it works. And the thing is, this was your idea, guys. You have to make good on it. You can't just have him. If John Connor had his hacking skills and the Terminator had told him what to do in a contingency, and there was an against the clock thing where he has to out hack the TX, like that's an idea. Yeah. It's a bad idea, but it's better than all of the ideas in this movie. Like by quite a margin, even if I do say so myself. Thank you very much. But it doesn't like, and again, like you said earlier, it has a little bit of that hangover 90s idea of how computers work. It's just like make the robot do a sad and then the hacking will fall out of it. It's just so deeply awful.
It's just sort of another version of that. I know you're in there somewhere. If I just appeal to your emotions, you'll come out. Like your true self will show itself. And it's like, he's a robot.
He's a robot. Yes, precisely. There is no true self to come out. Like,
yeah.
I tell you what, it does sell very well is that the idea that this Terminator was able to trick John Connor in the future and kill him, because by the sounds of it, he probably run up and tried to give him a fucking cuddle. Because
well, that was in the game, wasn't it? It was like, but it was like literally just like he burst into the room where John Connor was and shot him, and John Connor just stood there and let it happen, which I can buy because it's like, well, you know. But that is said in this, isn't it? It's like, oh, I was chosen for the mission because of your childhood, like memories or whatever, and it's like. Right, but John Connor's like he is the leader of the resistance. He's humanity's last best hope for survival. Look at that. That's so televisual as well. Like plane pulls into shot, like gets out. It's like there's no like shot of it landing.
It almost
establishing.
This is an example where like stock footage would make it look better, even if it's a completely different plane. Like,
stock footage of LAX with like. So what? Okay, and then also that it's shown that they sort of pull up like a car would, but they pull up really far away and run, and it's like, why don't you?
Could have got all the way
That's John Connor's. That's John Connor's solution. Is I'll shoot everything.
Yes,
and then
that'll work.
Because I'm afraid I'll shoot all these old military trucks because I'm afraid of future machines.
Yeah. It's a bit like...
with a handgun. It's a bit like, what was that designed to do? Like if there was a Terminator hiding in there and you hit it, it would go like.
It's just a really sort of camp, frightened Terminator. T900.
Oh my goodness.
T900 is in there with his pink lights. It's like, oh my god.
Hello. I'm full of hot lead. I don't know a thing. Hello, welcome to Skynet. Please take. It's like what.
Oh, I love it. I love Snagglepuss's Terminator. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Or what's his name? I always forget his name. Hugh. No. Oh, I'll come back. Wait.
It's so hard today.
Yeah. Oh crap! I certainly should have said that they were illegal. I love that.
Oh god.
Yeah.
So I don't. In principle.
Edwin.
Oh yes, yeah. In principle, I don't mind the going to the bunker and then the war happens thing. I think it's one of the better things in it. I don't think it's particularly clever or whatever, but I think it's one of the better things in it. I think if it was a way to end a completely different film, I'd probably be all right with it. But I don't mind the idea of like the war's inevitable, blah 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 blah. Well, I do mind that kind of big scale, because
it's also something they've worked backwards from, isn't it? Because it's like a kind of right. But what are you really saying about your character with that? again, that he's an idiot, that you duped him into believing that stop the war.
He has no agency whatsoever. He just
this really bugged me. So this sort of money shot of him coming out of the helicopter half destroyed raises far too many questions about what Skellington is. But you see his cheek. Why can you see through his cheek? I thought you
see that's so frustrating to me, because at that point in time they could put a green screen on him and there would be an element of the skull being smaller than his physical head, right? So in principle, and the idea that you could perhaps see a little bit through if he turned. But yeah, no, there's a fucking massive hole right through his fucking head, like just for the sake of it. Because like you could do all the issues from Terminator 2, like you said earlier, it's too big and it is kind of obvious, but they do their best to cover it. But there's nothing else they could have done at that point in time. Here, they could have done something really subtle, but fuck that. Why not just have a big hole in his fucking head? Like
just so you can see through it, and it's like, well, that's. Yeah, see, I hate the TX design as well, because like I say, there's no advantage to giving your see, she's still wearing a watch. And there's no advantage to giving your infiltrator a specific gender, because you've just limited it to, in theory, half the people in the world. But it's the endoskeleton that's got boobs, and it's like why?
And the face is sort of like a cat skull, and I don't know if they're trying to say something that's because women are like cats, right? Okay.
Also, he just I love how he pulls out his spare power cell. Shouldn't he turn off now?
Exactly. Like, what's he running on? That's like the watch battery. Like what's he running on at that point? Alternate power, or whatever.
I've got one up my bum.
Beep boop. It's in my eye.
That's another thing. That's another mistake they're making. The other ones of this as well. Like the subsequent sequences, like they want to tear off as much of his face as possible to show how special their fucking green screen and whatever it is. But it's like his mouth still works like normal, even though it's missing all the connective tissue around what. Like, shouldn't it be half hanging out or off? Like his lips should be hanging out. It doesn't make any sense.
Whatever. Terminator or whatever. Well, this is the thing, because it has the potential there to be, and I can't remember exactly what they did in Dark Fate, but I'm sure it looked good, in terms of his face. There was no reason for any of us to be there, but I think it looked good when his face was smashed up, because you have to have half his face smashed up. It's never just like the bottom half or the top half or just like the back of his head, but you have to do that. And they could have here done something really subtle. They could have done a really subtle thing with it, but they fucking didn't, did they? Also, I really when you see his eyes go dark and it's all ash and stuff. I know that's ash, but to me it always looks like it's under the sea.
I always just assumed he was underwater. It's like, why are you underwater? Like,
they dropped a water bomb on him or something. I don't know.
In the mountains, you're right. It really doesn't. It's like, and if that was rendered ash, shouldn't they be also affected? Because if it's this really like Holocausty bit outside, it implies they just went down a lift. Is the bunker that secure? That
I will give them that, I guess, because it was a blast door they go through. So I'll give them that, and that's me being kind, but I'll give them that. In more interesting news, they've tied up the old Cold War Centre of Government was in Cambridge on Brooklands Avenue. It's been sat rotting for years, and they finally started storing kind of museum pieces in it for circulation purposes. So it's all been tied up. So you go to the nuclear bunker in Cambridge, it looks really cool. No public access, it's fenced off, but you can go see it. It's really interesting. It's more interesting than this film by quite a margin.
Yep.
But there you go. If you live locally, you can go have a look. Go look around Brooklands Avenue.
Presumably you can't, because we're not supposed to leave the house for anything.
I think you could have it as part of your state mandated exercise.
If it's within walking distance within an hour.
It's in exactly. It is for me, but I'd have to turn around as soon as I arrived.
So I couldn't enjoy it.
Also, it's in a residential area, so you're just walking around where people live, just skulking around like some kind of creepo.
I want to see the nuclear bunker.
If a bunker. Dominated. Did you see someone? That deep fake of Arnold as RoboCop has resurfaced, and someone's revoiced it.
Oh, right.
It's a lot better because I think the thing, you know, I don't want to insult the person who did it in the first place, but the original voice dub was not good, but the new one's been done and it looks really fucking good. It really works. Really, really works because his head and Peter Weller's head are very different, unless Peter Weller's skin is artificially stretched over a big robot head and then Arnold's fits on. But he does have eyebrows, of course, so that looks weird.
Right.
But yeah, it's because Dick Jones is wanted for murder. Like it's all like that. Murphy.
Fair enough. Merde. Merde.
Merde is wanted for merde.
I had to merde Dick Jones.
I had to merde Bob Martin. That's French Dick Jones. Richard Jones shitting on Bob Martin, played by the late Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the TX sort of like squeals and screams and turns into like a wild animal when it's cornered.
Yeah.
It goes like it's kind of like just
which the sort of, again, it sort of seems like it's just trying to do what the T1000 made a bunch of inhuman noise when it was melting, but it's like you have to imagine that's because it's being destroyed.
Yeah, it's like it's screaming because it's being torn to pieces, and in the way machines do, you know, ill-maintained car screams if the fan belt's not right and things like that.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just a load of shit crap made by idiots. That's my thanks, film studies.
Shit crap made by idiots. 1 star.
Yeah. That's my article for Cahiers du Cinema. Shit crap made by stupid idiots.
I mean, you look at this set, right? That is a massive set to build.
It's cool as well.
2 people walk around. Yeah, it's really cool. But all that happens in it is 2 people are surprised.
Yes.
Nothing else happens in it.
Yeah, that's it.
This giant pullback and reveal, and it's like you built that just to have them walk around and go fuck it all, and that's it. That's
Bye.
And this is the end.
The nuclear war stuff is so ridiculously sterile as well. I mean, it's not visceral at all. It's just like poof, poof, poof. Okay, all right. And then, you know, what? So it's Terminator Salvation set in 2019, right, or 2018?
I don't know. Yeah,
and I guess this is set in 2003. I mean, they get all the numbers wrong because he's he sent the Terminator after me when I was 47 years old as a little boy, or whatever he says. Whatever wrong.
I think he says 13, but that's wrong.
It's wrong. It's wrong crap written 10. By idiots. He's way too old for 10 though. He's running around on a motorbike and stuff. But I guess you could do that.
Yeah.
But it's like your numbers don't add up, fam. They don't add up. Watch the films.
Yeah, this does look like it's underwater, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does.
But when you look at the level of destruction, and it's like if that was wrought upon the facility they were all in, I can't imagine that it didn't also really shake up Claire Danes and
they
monkey.
don't seem to. Claire Danes.
So they're holding his hand, like fucking Clyde from Any Which Way But Loose.
Claire Danes and the King of the Swingers.
Voiced by Christopher Walken, just like Jungle Book.
Techcom checks in.
Obito.
Obito. Like yo.
Yeah.
He would have to wear like some brightly coloured Converse trainers and a pair of Bermuda shorts, and a Chicago Bulls vest and a backwards baseball cap. I quite can we edit him into that scene at the start of T2 when he's got the binoculars? It's just an orangutan in like,
and they're backwards, and he's just like holding them all skewed. So the gif of that ape, or whatever, he's sat at the desk, you know, with loads of money or whatever, and he's just throwing, or the keyboard, or the laptop, and he's smashing it up. And it's John Connor with a scar on.
Plasma rifle and a scar. Anyway,
my son John Connor is like, who was Kyle Reese?
Anyway, the metaphor is a monkey came out that girl's fanny and then led the world in a war. I'm James Cameron. This is my accent.
Yeah.
Oh well, I'm glad.
Thank God that's over. And isn't it over to some weird orchestral version of the Terminator?
It's a
theme,
really
which...
dreadful orchestral version, which completely misses the point of everything. Like Marco Beltrami as a composer is not someone I really have opinions about, apart from the fact that if you take over a Terminator film, at least make it sound sort of like. I mean, I get it, right? Like Brad Fiddel's sound is very similar, and you're foolish to copy it. But there are examples in other media of composers taking over and putting their own stamp on something, but it's still having its own identity. Like, I don't think, for example, Leonard Roseman's RoboCop 2 music is as good as Basil Polidoris's, but I think it's part of the fabric of that film and it gives it a nice mood.
John Ottman with Superman Returns, I think, is a good example of that. I think he did a good job of... I didn't like his Lex theme, but apart from that, I thought the rest of it was really well, like, really captured the John Williams stuff.
Because I get someone in who makes, I don't know, electronic music for this, like, but it's just...
There's an idea.
Dude, the most... Again, gun to the head, yeah, we need music for a film, please. What film? I don't know, any film. Just keep making music. Like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Caspian S, £5. Arnie Robocop deepfake worked so hard on Murphy's face and voice, but left Dick Jones' Mr. Tickle arms intact because why meddle with perfection? Absolutely right. Absolutely right. If anything, I'd have made them longer.
They just stay at the camera and he falls.
He just sort of stretches and goes, wee!
And then boings back up.
Oh, it's such a shame. And that's the kind of thing. Hey, look, it's a whole different setup, but like at a very similar time, Die Hard did a much better thing of the same gag. But, that was done very differently and probably cost a fuck sight more money, really. But yeah, no, arms should have been longer, in my view. And probably just a big long willy as well that flapped around. I don't know. Or actually just turn him into Mr. Tickle. Just have a big orange Mr. Tickle go,
It's 2D just falling away from
well,
but with his suit on.
Last minute substitution. Yeah, we couldn't film with him, so we had to get Mr. Tickle in. Roger Hargreaves lent us Mr. Tickle for the day, so he did it for us. And everything was fine. Oh, what a dreadful, dreadful film that I hate. That was stupid really crap made by idiots.
Or crap made by stupid idiots, I think as well.
Oh, sorry. I do apologise. I do hate to misquote myself.
I think you mean.
I think you mean. It's one of these things that I don't like to, these days, being a bit more involved, I don't like to just directly cuss stuff like that. But this is unforgivable. It's just that I've got no compunction.
It's 18 years old, and by and large, I think most people agree that it is terrible. It's just weird that I think in the kind of fucking BuzzFeed, whatever, top 10 doobery made stupid crap made by idiots on the internet. It's and those things are made by people who don't watch movies, clearly. But it's just like, Truck Chase. It therefore it ranks as like the third best one or whatever, and it's like, what are you fucking talking about? What on earth are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, all the reasons people give for why this shouldn't be dismissed outright are completely just, I don't again,
it's also stupid crap made by idiots, isn't it?
I know, it's just like words said by idiots, basically. It's just like, what does that mean? What do you mean? What do you even mean? What, like, if like Arnold Schwarzenegger just stood there for 2 hours showing you his car collection, wouldn't that amount to the same thing? You know what I mean? Like, here's a load of keys jangled in front of you.
Here's
Arnold
Schwarzenegger with a laser pointer. We're treating you like a cat. That's exactly. the amount of contempt in which we hold you idiots.
Yeah, give it your money. And fuck off.
Caspian S, another £5. Thank you very much, Caspian S. Die Hard spent millions on Pioneer CGI to artificially shorten Hans Gruber's arms. It's true. When something unknown about human physiology is when you fall off a building, your arms extend. If we learned anything from 9/11, oh no, that was a bit. I don't know about that. Well, this film is old enough to drink, which is ironic for a film that appears to have fetal alcohol syndrome. So here's here's to you this summer, Terminator 3, when you're old enough to drink. Here's to you. You go out and enjoy one, but don't knock anybody up, because we've seen how that turns out.
Yeah, by all means, tie one on, but do it somewhere else, because I hate you.
Because I hate you.
Oh, I just think it's the most egregiously lazy shite, isn't it? It really is. And consider, like you say, considering that it cost $180 million. I mean,
yeah, I'm a bit confused by Box Office Mojo saying 200, but I wonder if that's adjusted, because I always remember hearing this as 180. So I think then the next one along at a similar time, I think X-Men 3 in 2005 was then the most expensive film, because that went a bit more, which is also dreadful for similar reasons.
Yeah, why is it the most egregious, shitty films are always the ones that cost the most? It's like that doesn't.
It's at a certain point on the gravy train, isn't it? Because I think quite a lot of time things make money when they're not expected to. You know, it's mad to think that you know, because Spider-Man was like the highest grossing film of all time for a bit, I think, or at least it was up there. And that wasn't a surefire hit. And Spider-Man was probably the most well-known Marvel character, really, at least outside of America. But that wasn't always a surefire hit. I mean, there was good buzz off it. It had a cool director and stuff, so I think it was always going to be okay. But that was not like a license to print money like certain of these things are now.
Yeah. I mean, I remember for a long time, Superman Returns was the most expensive film ever made, but it was largely because they included in the budget all the stuff that was done for Superman Lives.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like Nick Cage's. What did he get? He got $20 million for like not making a film.
Free costume fittings, wasn't it? Essentially.
So when you think about it, though, as well, like I think I'd pay, if I could, I would pay Nicolas Cage $20 million not to do a Superman.
Well, they did essentially, so that's all's well that ends well, I suppose.
Yeah, that's what I say.
We watched
much as I love Nicolas Cage, but you know,
the Teen Titans movie, Teen Titans Go film. So I've watched some of Teen Titans Go, and it's one that people like seem to really hate, but it's actually, I think it's really funny. It's really fun. I think like 30-year-old men hate it, and it's like, dude, it's not for you. It's for fucking 12-year-olds. But it's just really funny, and it's a little bit smutty and stuff. And the movie firstly has Greg Davis in it, which was amazing as Bubble Man, as in Greg Davis from like Taskmaster and Man Down and stuff. But Nicolas Cage was Superman in that, and
nice.
He was playing kind of douchebag Superman, and he does a really good job. It's a really kind of traditional I'm Superman type thing, nice. Which is really good. You know, and he called his son Kal-El because he's insane.
Well, that's one of those things where I kind of go like, if you've got clever people behind the camera, you know, if you are stuck with you have to make a Superman film and Nicolas Cage has to play Superman, there's a clever way to do it. There's a way to do it that is compelling and interesting to watch. I just don't, by all accounts, see what they were doing as being that. And it was also, they were like going to do the death of Superman, and then of course there's all the sort of John Peters fuckery that was going on as well, the kind of just insanity that was like he is just a hairpiece controlling a man at this point. You know what I mean? It's just like, what are you looking at? I'm never going to work with him. So,
he'll probably be dead soon as well, so I won't worry about it. Well, they had all this stuff like, because firstly, Tim Burton did Batman. We'll get him then. That'll be a success.
Yeah.
You know. Then their version of Clark Kent was Nicolas Cage with big long hair in a Mickey Mouse t-shirt and like sneakers and jeans and an ill-fitting jacket. And I fear what their version of Clark Kent presumed. He was going to be wacky 90s guy. And I really worry what their version of Clark Kent was going to be for that movie. I mean, hey, again, I would love to see it. Like, if I had time, you know, dimension hopping sliders technology, I'd go to the universe where that came out. So I'd love to see it out of sheer curiosity. But I do not in any way feel that we lost a classic. You know what I mean?
No, I mean, yeah, I get the feeling he would have been some sort of Stanley Goodspeed type. Do you know what I mean? Like, sort of nerd. The more nerdy moments of Stanley Goodspeed, I think he would have been like that. You know, it's one of those things where I just think it wouldn't have been his fault. It wouldn't have been Nicolas Cage's fault. I just think it wouldn't have worked. But he is, by and large, he's someone who has a lot of reverence, and he is someone also in the past who has Like, wasn't he cast as in The Wrestler? And he turned it down and said, "You should give this to Mickey Rourke."
Oh
Like,
shit!
I shouldn't do it. Yeah, he said, like, "I'm not right for this. This should go to Mickey Rourke," and that's what got Mickey Rourke in, and then obviously won an Oscar for it. And it's like that he has that level of self-awareness, so it's like he obviously felt there was something to be said there. And I won't base, I shouldn't base my judgment on those costume fittings are awful, but they're just tests. They're not. They're fittings as well. I heard someone refer to them as screen tests. It's like those aren't screen
They're
tests.
shot on VHS in the back room.
They're in a hotel room.
Yeah,
And it's not. That's not a screen test. That's not how that works. It would be on a soundstage with lighting and everything. That's really not how that works. So
I don't think it didn't point in a good direction for me. Those fittings, because the Superman suit is that kind of rubber, like really, really rubbery suit and stuff.
There's that really wonky one they go for where like the S is like all the way across and it looks just awful. But then there's the one that's more like an actual Superman suit. It's just really shiny, and for some reason the cape goes up like a Dracula cape over his shoulder.
I think that's the one he was going to wear at the start, and they were going to kill him, and then they were going to bring him back, and he would have the fiber optic lights and things in it. Did you watch the documentary Death of Superman Lives, the John Schnapp documentary?
Yeah,
because I think I crowdfunded that actually. That's one of my few crowdfunds. So I got a download link. Yeah, that was quite interesting. I didn't think it was, as a film, it's not that interesting, but like I think it was interesting to watch, and it had all that behind the scenes stuff. A lot of it seemed like change for change's sake, and not really motivated by anything. So it's like, oh well, why doesn't he have wasps for knees or whatever? And it's like, oh yeah, on Krypton everyone has wasps for knees. We've decided because we can't think of ways to reinvent Superman, because that's proved really difficult in the last 80 years. You know what I mean?
There's so much to say with Superman. That's what I don't get. It's like, what don't you get about? Why don't you understand your own character? There's that. I saw a trailer for they're doing a new Lois and Clark, essentially, but with the ones
spun out of the Supergirl show.
Yeah, and the trailer looks really good.
Yeah, I watched that. I wanted to talk to you about that actually. Yeah.
I thought the trailer looked really good, but I was like, but you could be selling me all the good bits, and now in the rest of the show, I don't know. I mean, it might be good.
All those.
I liked Supergirl. Like, I didn't watch all. I think I watched the first season and a bit of the second one, and that's all. But I liked it for the most part. It was all right.
I've admired all those from afar. The Arrowverse shows I've admired from afar. And like, because Supergirl looked really cool and the Crisis looked really cool, but I just can't be bothered to make the time investment.
It's too much of it.
Yeah, but it all looked really cool, and like because they did like Gorilla Grodd and I think Metallo and stuff, and they're doing all the nut stuff. It's like yes, please do all the nut stuff. That's what you need to do. Don't be so. The TV. It's that funny kind of reversal. Like there used to be a time where sort of Marvel fared a bit better on TV and in animation, and DC was doing well in the movies. And then Marvel's doing well in the movies, and DC for a time was doing a bit better in animation, and now we're sort of in some kind of place between the two. But it felt like for a while those things reversed. A lot of the DC animation in the last few has been quite bland for my money. Shall we? I was going to say, should we aim to wrap up about 9:30 this evening? Because I know you've had a long day. Sure. He's had a long day with his woken up by your wee babby.
I was. She doesn't often do it, but she did it this morning after I'd also had a rough night of sleep, and that was muchos apreciados. That was one of those. When things conspire to wake you up, it's almost worse that they wake you up half an hour before your alarm's due to go off. Because you feel like it's one thing if it wakes you up in the middle of the night, you can kind of go back to sleep and carry on. But when it's like you've just lost half an hour of sleep for no reason, now you have to get up and go on with your day, and fuck you and the horse you rode in on. It just feels like it's like get on with it, you twat. But I guess that's being and then you get up and the cat's shouting at you for food, and the dog pisses on the floor, and it's like being a responsible adult,
being a grown up,
being a grown up, being a parent, being a fucking.
I'm trying to drag myself back to more responsible waking up time so I can make more of my day, but I'm still having sleepy time issues. Which means I end up in bed for far too long and then staying up late, which kind of sucks, but that's what it is. Steve Allen asking if we've got any thoughts on Kong versus Godzilla. I have a few. Do you have any thoughts on?
I don't care.
No, I thought you might not.
Sorry.
Well, just quickly. Well, the Godzilla thing has been quietly pulling off a shared universe, quite nicely in the background with no one noticing, and without it being an embarrassing failure. because I didn't like that first Godzilla movie. We saw that together, did we? The first Godzilla.
Yeah. I didn't like the movie. I thought the movie, is. Yeah, I didn't.
I didn't hate it, but I certainly didn't like it. Kong Skull Island, I thought was a good fun time. I enjoyed that. The one after the Godzilla I haven't seen, but this one, Kong vs Godzilla, it seems from the trailer that it's actually Mecha Godzilla, which is a robot Godzilla, and I love robots, and that sounds so silly that I'm in for it. Because if it's like the first Godzilla where it's just very boring, not so in for it. If it's more like Kong Skull Island where it has John Goodman in it, which it won't, and it's very silly and loud and funny and fun, and it's got a robot in it, cool, I'm in. Ivan's but I'm.
What was the Godzilla? Because there was a sequel to the 2014 Godzilla, wasn't there? What was that?
Was it King of Monsters? Godzilla King of Monsters with your girl from? Because that had Ken Watanabe's back in that one, and they put in your girl from Stranger Things, the young girl, and then she's now in the new one.
Everything.
Yes, she's in the new one as well. The Kong vs Godzilla. So
Millie Bobby Brown, who we saw at Comic-Con, didn't we?
Possibly. That's become sort of white noise. The amount of people we saw. I just always remember the late Rutger Hauer looking like a nana in a lovely blouse.
Yeah. And fuck. Help me out.
Oh, what?
Ian
McDermott.
Keith Richards. Keith David. Fuck.
Oh, Keith David, and Carl Weathers as well. I remember because I had my DSLR out and some woman walked up and goes, "You can't take photos." And I went, "I'm not taking photos. It's video." And she did not like that at all. We got led out of there. I don't know why I was a prick. Also, I think I said this before, I just kept... I had a zoom lens on and Chris Barry was sat there at his desk. And I was crash zooming in going, Chris Barry, Chris Barry, Chris Barry, Chris Barry, Chris Barry. And I didn't think he could hear me, but he could. And he looked at my camera, and I just kind of went, just walked away like a big naughty boy. Definitely a big naughty boy, a 6 foot tall.
I remember that was a bit of a, because it wasn't that our sort of first foray out into the public as. Yeah,
I think so. And it was a total washout.
Really?
It was. I think we bumped into a few people, but yeah, it was a total washout. I mean, because we weren't actually asked to be there. And then we were eventually asked to be there, where we stole some sandwiches. We've told the story before. I think it was quite because Duncan and I got there early to Birmingham. We just sat and got really quite pissed in the pub, didn't we? We were waiting to be met, so we just sat in the garden of the pub getting pissed. It's fantastic.
I remember we went because we were in a sort of really weird hotel that had the sort of look of an ibis or something, but when you actually went in the room, it was more like a sort of ex-Soviet like barracks. And then it's like
that does sum up Birmingham, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sort of there was this weird whirring and a red light from the corner of the room that when you asked what it was, went shut up. But and I was a two-way mirror. But I remember we went down to the bar that was there, and at the time I was on my kind of no carb stuff. I was in the middle of shooting Fistful of Lead, so I looked like a sort of hairy wilderness man. And while we were sat in the pub in the hotel bar drinking, when we were sat in the hotel bar drinking, like I was drinking like Bud Light because I was pretending that I was trying to stay in shape, and then I think it was like the first beer I'd had in ages, and then didn't one of my adverts come on the TV or something? Or am I making that up? I can't remember.
Was that was?
Or did you tell me that happened?
No, that was a different. That was when I was in Birmingham with my friend Simon for a conference.
I'm not Simon.
You've never met Simon, but he knows who you are. And
I said I'm not.
Oh,
Simon.
You're not Simon. No, but your advert came on, and he said Duncan's on the TV over my shoulder, and there you were, shilling for tools.
Very good. Yeah. So. And then we sort of wandered up the road. It was really weird, wasn't it? Because it was like sunny. I remember like wandering up the road with you, finding a pub, sitting down and getting more pissed. And then our compatriot showed up, and there we go. But the next day, when we went out to get in the car, there was just snow everywhere.
Yeah, and it was fucked. It was fucked as well. Like it was properly snowy. It was like went from we weren't in t-shirts, but we were sat in that pub garden having a beer and some. Well, I was having chips. I think you were like sucking nutrients out of a leaf or something. I don't know. And then the next day it was proper, and like it was like difficult driving to the venue, and then in the venue it was like everyone was ensconced inside because it snowed in basically.
It was really weird.
Yeah, it was fucking weird. But, that was because the one there, they were kind of like, yeah, gold wristbands. But when we got blagged to the one, as Val Verde Broadcasting, Ellie blagged us for the one in London, which is fantastic. But they gave us blue wristbands, which had way less truck because they're actual, like, proper celebrities in London. They don't want you walking up and knifing them or whatever. Whatever it is you presumably would do as a random nutter, whatever random nutter. Yeah. Right. Should we say goodnight?
Yes.
It's half the past. We're going to a bit of a quick one tonight, guys. Sorry about that. Good numbers tonight. It's great to have you all in. We've still got 135 in the room, so thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I've got a video, like I said, Dan Lyles has done a video about creating the Photoshops that he does that we'll upload. I think probably the weekend, Duncan, we were talking about, but we'll talk about it perhaps when we get off air.
Are we doing it for patrons? We have to do it for patrons first, so maybe
we'll talk about that when we get off.
All right.
Talk about that when we get off. Rob Myers, yes, I will do another gaming stream soon. Not sure when. Do some more terrible Alien Isolation badness. That will come back and stuff. So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to cut to credits, you lovely bastards. We love you. And we'll see you this time next week, if not before, with some other stuff.
Yeah, man.
Bye.
Bye.
Partiamo